We are live.
Hey.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. Normally, I'm the one bringing the, uh,
Valley Girl vibe.
yeah,
Yeah.
Valley Girl vibe, according to the
Yeah.
votes in the chat. Um, there we go. All right.
Happy Thursday, question mark. Nobody knows what day it is because it's Memorial Day week and we had Monday off and everything feels wacky.
I think that even though it was a short week, I feel like tomorrow should be Saturday.
Agreed. I wish. I could only wish.
It's almost harder on a short week
I
because I get
agree.
used
We were
to
talking about that
vacations.
at work today, in fact. That like the shorter weeks are harder somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Hey! Oh, hold on. I need to turn on my chat. I'm
How come
looking
my
at it on
chat
the
isn't
tiny screen
working?
here. Whoops. Look at my chat. Whoops. I swear I've done this before, y'all.
Well, I swear you did me dirty.
Oh, guys, we're trying some new
He set me up
technology.
today and I don't have my chat right. I don't got you guys. I should have known. He thinks he's the king of technology, but like listen. Let me set up my own screen.
So, by the way, we are going to be able to pull up our chat here in 2 seconds. Anything you say now, we'll still be able to read. Uh, it's just that you see, we screwed this up. Did you find?
Mm-mm.
Weird. Huh. Oh, that was 8:07 p.m. So that was from before.
No, that was a minute ago.
Oh, it is 8:07 p.m.
Yeah. Why are we not seeing our chat?
Oh man. We got
Oh,
this, y'all.
technology is rough. Okay.
Anyways,
Can some people try sending some chats so that we can troubleshoot? For some reason, we're not being able to see our chats on our screen. I can see something from can't read the name from here. Karuke.
okay, testing. Okay, yep. Yes.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you, thank
we've
you,
got the
thank you.
test. You're in.
How?
We're
Okay, what
good.
did you do that I didn't do?
I will fix yours. I got you. All right. Go ahead and talk about what's on the top of your mind. Interesting. Top. You know what it is? Actually, YouTube changed things.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like they used to have interesting. Well, and there's like now like our calls our things are bumping up. So you know what? We're rolling. We've got
yeah, but I want to
views.
be able to. I guess if you have the chat up,
I
but
guess
I
if
would
you
really
want to
like to
talk,
have.
I'll work on your computer
Thank you.
here. Yep.
Okay, so welcome in, welcome in. We are here as an atheist couple who just likes to have conversations with believers about why they still believe. We would love for people to call up. Here's the link. No pressure to put on video. You can put in whatever name you want us to call you, be as anonymous as you want to be. But just kind of come give us your thought process or if there's anything on your mind that you want to discuss. Um, it's just kind of a nice discussion panel. Okay, I can see you now. Thank you for coming in, my friend. And in the meantime, you were really excited about a new contradiction you found.
Oh yeah, but I'm saving that.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. That will not be my topic
Actually,
of
okay.
conversation.
I'm gonna spoiler anybody who joined early. So there's this crazy thing where I've been like reading Josephus,
Yeah, it's
and
interesting.
what happened was, and stop me if I said this on the last live. I don't think I did because I think I just
Well,
this
you
was in the
just
last
texted
day.
me this like yesterday.
Yeah. So like Josephus was talking about like King Jorahim in the northern tribes of Israel. This is when Israel was split into two different
Okay, so we
sections.
got
Yeah.
okay.
So there was a civil war. Israel was in the northern 10 tribes and in the southern 2 tribes. And then Josephus was talking about like Jehoram in the north as king and Jehoram in the south as king. and they were
That
two,
doesn't seem possible.
right, as if they were two different Jehorims. So I was like,
Excuse me.
well, that is super weird and coincidental, right? So then I looked up and I was like, well, what's going on? And critical scholarship believes that in that time period, there was actually one united kingdom again. But the problem was it was united under the northern tribes. And as we all know from history, because like you can only go worship at the temple in Jerusalem, the southern tribes like won out, and they only won out by survival because the northern 10 tribes got destroyed first, and they all ran down south to Judah.
Sorry.
And anyway, so the king was just the same king in the north and south, and they just didn't want to admit potentially. I don't know. I'm interested in talking to someone about that though, because there's some verses in Kings that shed much more light on that
Shit, that's 'cause
subject.
you're in the wrong freaking profile.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Anybody want any Christian that believes still to this day that Christianity is real, we would love to chat. I'm gonna reach over, not provocatively, but I'm helping my wife with, oh, you got it? Okay. All right. Any Christians that want to call in, this is an open space. We're just here to talk about why it is that you still believe in Christianity. We were former Christians. I'm a former Protestant. My wife is a former Catholic, and we're interested in knowing why people still believe in Christianity. It could be anything, and we could be wrong. That's the thing. This is an open-minded discussion. We're not yellers or
Not typically.
throwers of Bibles around here. So, Tina Fey.
90% of the
Is
time,
it Tina Fey? Was that who it was? No, Tina Fey was like a singer.
No, it was Tina Fey.
Tina Fey? Okay.
If anyone
Tammy Faye.
If anyone has seen the movie Saved, Tina Fey throws a Bible. She says, it's Mandy Moore. I am filled with Christ's love. The Bible is not a weapon. We shouldn't throw it. None of us have ever thrown a Bible.
She threw a Bible.
Anyway, welcome in tonight. If you want to chat with us and tell us why you believe or what's on your mind, please feel free to call up.
So, cool. We have some questions. Let's see here. Scientific evidence proves beyond doubt that humans evolved and were not created by an imaginary, invisible magic man
Chris is on our team.
in the sky. That's a bold claim. Can lead Christians to knowledge but can't teach them to think about scientific evidence. Interesting. Spirituality over religion.
I mean, I could get behind that.
I almost said the word spirituality correctly.
I'm definitely with Chris, though.
Blue Sea, spirituality. What do you mean by that? Spirituality over religion. Interested to know what you mean by that. And we can interact chat-wise, too. So
yeah, absolutely.
People can call in. You don't have to use your camera if you don't want. If you want to just engage in chat, that works, too. This is a platform. We usually do get quite a few views. So this is a nice place for folks to kind of share their worldview one way or the other. We try to keep it, positive and open-minded as far as that goes. So trying to think of something else. I'm actually just now getting into the whole part of Josephus where it gets out of the biblical text. And so now we're getting into that, what's called in the Bible the period of silence, which is where we kind of end, essentially. I think Daniel was pretty much the last canonical book written. And then we enter into what's called the period of the Maccabees. So that's where Josephus picks up historically, which is what I'm reading right now. These are the dudes who like to go, and I've never heard of arguments such as tag. What is this tag argument?
Never heard of it, apparently.
The clown who came to town And I'm not making that up for future folks that can't correspond it with the chat. Also, it looks like we had someone join the chat. We will join it. But clown who came to town. I don't think that tag's an argument. I think it is a game played on the playground. So if you would like to come up and play games, clown who came to town, we would love to have the conversation. Tag? What are they talking about?
Never heard of it.
So weird. Okay. Anyways, super weird.
Okay.
Okay. So Jackson. First of all,
do you have our? Oh, there we go.
Cool. We're gonna bring you on up, Jackson. Jackson, can you hear us? And are you over the age of 18?
Yeah.
Awesome. And great audio, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you sound good. Actually, I'm gonna
turn
you
up
up
just
one
a tad.
notch.
Not your problem. We just have to adjust our mic the first caller sometimes. Or our...
We are getting.
we are getting an echo.
But that's all right. If you got headphones, cool, pop them in. But if not, I think we're okay actually. So, Jackson, this is an open space as far as like we're trying to understand why Christians still believe, because we were both Christians, and myself, it's kind of like been 2,000 years. Dude said he was coming back, still hasn't come back. I start to lose my maybe it's the ADD culture. I don't know. What's your thoughts on Christianity and why you still believe if you're a Christian?
Well, I kind of just want to ask you guys some questions first.
Sure.
I've been watching you guys for a little bit, and I want to define real quick. Are you guys Christians?
No. Former
We were Christians. We used to be Christians.
So neither. Okay. Do either of you believe in God?
No.
I'm agnostic. I think that there could be a God. I just don't. I just know for sure it's not the Christian God.
Okay. Why do you think there is a God?
I don't necessarily think there is a God at all. I think we can't disprove the fact that there might be something, but it's not any of the gods I've been presented with.
She wants to play that game on the playground. I
don't want to play that game. I'm answering the question.
A second ago, you said you don't believe in God, and now you're saying that you think there might be?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
I said I am not convinced that any of the gods I have been presented with are true. Now that doesn't mean that at some point in the future someone might have evidence that will convince me. But that doesn't mean I believe in God now.
And I would take a slightly different
God or not?
No.
Okay, you don't. Okay, what about you, sir? You said you do think there might be a God?
I think that there could be a God. I think that there also could be like an alien kid, like with a science experiment or like a really advanced computer program, and we're all just like in some sort of like, experiment or computer program. So I mean, I think that there's a lot of different like, and if you think about it, if that kid invented some sort of like we're all NPCs, but we can actually interact with each other and like have a realistic experience just because it's so advanced. To us, that alien kid would be God. So your definition of God is actually in question also at this point. Like, what do you think? Can you define God? Like, what is God?
Well, I didn't. You said my definition of God. I didn't give you a definition of God.
Well, that's what I was asking. Start there, but you wanted to start with the questions.
I was going to ask you what is your definition of God? Do you have one? It's okay if you don't.
I don't have a definition of God. I guess to me, if I was just to freeball it, I would say my definition of God would be some sort of a creative mind. It could be a demiurge. It could be all good. It could be all bad. It could be indifferent. It could be something completely removed, something that like, I guess for me, if there was such a thing as a God, that it would mean that the universe had an organizing builder or thought behind it versus just pure naturalism.
And you said that you're open to the idea that God could exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. God.
That definition, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. That a God could exist?
Absolutely.
A creator of the universe could exist?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Why do you think that there could be a creator?
because I can't step outside the Big Bang.
Okay. Is there
So
any other
so the
reason? Or?
universe could be infinitely eternal, or it also could not be. But if I introduce the thought that the universe can't be eternal because nothing can be eternal, but then I run into a problem. Well, if God is eternal and nothing can be eternal, then there's no God. So it can be either an infinite universe or an infinite God, but I can't see past the event horizon, which currently with our modern science is the Big Bang with the 3.7 billion years of light that we can see.
Okay. I earlier. What are your names so I know like how to?
Josh, and
Adele.
Adele. Okay. Adele, earlier you said that none of the examples of God that you've been presented with you feel like could be true.
Yes.
What examples have you been presented with?
I mean, primarily the Christian God.
Okay.
we're
But
in the
like
United
as much
States.
as I've looked into any of the other gods, like they seem to be equally infallible or like fallible, not infallible, sorry.
What about the God of Islam?
Yeah, I agree. Not it's equally fallible.
The God of Islam is equally fallible as the God of Christianity.
Yes.
Are they the same God?
It depends who you ask.
Okay. How long have the two of you been studying theology?
I mean, I'm not a theology major, nor is my wife. We're lay people. So, as long I was a Christian until I was 33, 35. Um,
So you don't consider yourself like a theologist?
no.
I mean, I haven't gone to school for it. I don't have a degree in it, no.
Okay. Do you consider yourselves people who study theology?
I consider myself someone who reads a lot and tries to learn about a lot of situations. What kind of trap are you trying to corner us
I'm
into?
I'm
'Cause
not
I
I'm
don't.
not I'm not trying to corner you into any trap. It's just I've noticed
Okay.
that when people come onto your show, they don't ask you questions that like define the discussion. And so
So you
I'm
want our
just
credentials.
doing that.
My credential is I grew up
No,
on
I'm
a
not trying to get your
farm
credentials.
and I went to a
I'm not,
one-room schoolhouse. And I
no,
only
no,
got my bachelor's after 5.5 years. I was on the 5.5 year plan.
I was on the 4.5 year plan. I thought that was pretty good.
And I'm
no,
not a
no.
theology major. And I find it humorous that Christians can tell me that their God's real with my limited education. And I can like not be in any way, shape, or form intimidated because it's completely absurd because the text proves itself wrong.
Well, are you guys are you saying that you need a degree in theology in order to be a theologist? Why do you keep bringing up the degrees?
Well,
I
you
ju-
asked the question.
you asked if we
Yeah,
were
I did.
theologists, and I didn't want to falsely present myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
Now,
asked
know.
that
if you
doesn't
guys
mean
would
that I
consider
haven't
yourselves theology.
hold on. That doesn't mean I haven't extensively read the Bible. That doesn't mean I haven't extensively read other religious texts. I've read a lot of Rabbi Tovia's texts. I've read the Epic of Gilgamesh. I've read the Didache. I've read all kinds of other works as well. We read literally all the time. We share libraries. So, yes, we are studying, but that doesn't mean like I feel like I can give myself a title.
Which is why this is called the inquiry couple. We're not like the, you know, definitive answer couple, but I'm interested to know, like, yeah, go ahead and continue to ask questions though. I like this.
It says I've also looked on your YouTube description. It says talk to a curious atheist couple as we delve into our respectful yet challenging discussions with Christians about their faith. So, are you atheist or are you agnostic?
Agnostic atheist for me.
Okay. What are you curious about specifically?
Why Christians still believe, hence
And
the
and
prompt.
what's convincing to them?
Why Christians specifically? Why not?
Because
Why?
that's what we have the most experience in.
And we
Okay,
live in a
so
Do you,
country.
because like even when you go to your job, they tell you talk about the things you know about, right? Like I'm not going to go into a meeting and talk about something in a completely different department that I don't know anything about. So like, yes, we agree that the Muslim God is equally ridiculous. All of the cult, like there's a lot of things that we could like agree upon, but to have a logical long-term conversation. We wanted the topic to be the thing that we have the most knowledge of.
Which, by the way, Jackson, appreciate this a lot because, quite frankly, that people just aren't usually interested in us. So this is kind of like a get to know your host kind of a session, and we'll definitely clip this because it's helpful for people to know, like, where do we come
Sure.
from? What's our background? Why are we interested in this? So yeah, go ahead and continue. We appreciate that.
So how long have you guys like been studying the Bible?
I have studied the Bible, whatever age you consider a person being able to, like, read and like actually get interested in stuff. So as a kid until probably, well,
No.
now I'm reading Josephus. So
Okay.
I'm bored and reading Josephus.
So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how old you guys are. I'm not going to
I'm
ask.
45. I'm 45.
Well,
yeah.
You don't need to say that on the internet, man.
Oh no, it's cool, man. I'm proud of it. I'm rocking the 45.
I just don't want you to like give identifying information about yourself.
No, not at all. It's cool.
Crazy. And what so would you just say over 20 years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I dedicated my entire life to Christianity for over 20 years. And then when I was 35, I had a massive spike in studying from age 33 to 35 because I was probably a person like yourself where I would go online. Back then we didn't have YouTube streams like this, but I was in the forums as an apologist, and so I was well read from the Christian apologetic standpoint. And then I deconstructed when I was 33, and then from 33 to 35 I had to decide, am I going to now burn in hell forever because I don't believe this, and am I justified in not believing this? So obviously I dedicated 2 years of my life to figuring that out. And then of course it's not like an easy
exit.
Yeah, it's not an easy hill to sled up after you decide to, like, go against your entire community, family, and everything, especially because you had to do it kind of in secret because you'll get excommunicated. But then now I find it quite interesting studying through a different lens, which is like kind of from a more critical scholarship angle, I guess.
You what are they called? Sorry, I'm blanking on the word.
You're good.
Okay.
They're not called branches.
Division or denomination?
Yeah, denomination. Thank you. Yeah, what denomination are you?
I was non-denominational fundamentalist Christian. So I started as an evangelical and then went the non-denominational route because, quite frankly, I was so I didn't think that any denomination had everything perfect.
Smart.
And I'm a perfectionist. And so what I did was I got involved in church leadership and was part of non-denominational churches that were focused on making sure that we were teaching the accurately biblical version of Christianity to the best that we could exposit, right?
Adele, how long would you say you've been studying the Bible?
I had a later start. Well, kind of. I was 8 years old. My dad had remarried, and he married a pretty devout Catholic as my stepmom, and my dad converted. And I think I was 8 years old. I was in second grade when essentially I was presented with the fact that you're not baptized, you're going to hell, and that scared me. So I started asking my dad questions. I started going to Catholic classes. I got baptized, and I was a very, very devout believer throughout elementary, middle school, high school. And it was about the time I went to college that I kind of started to question the construct, like the organized religion part of it. I don't know that I could say I was like oh, I don't believe at all, but like the organized religion and the church and the people there, I had a lot of problems that I saw with people's behavior and church tithing and all kinds of things that I had a lot of questions about. So I started to slowly deconstruct around the time I went to college. And that doesn't mean I ever stopped reading, though.
She's a reader. She is an
I
English.
was an English major, so
She's a
This
reader.
this is like an off-topic question, real
Sure.
quick. I don't please don't kick me off for asking an off-topic.
No, you're
question.
good. You're good.
What did you guys go to college for? I'll say I went for math. I got
Yeah.
my degree. in
I was
math.
an English major. I was going to be a middle school English teacher,
Business
Nice.
which is not what I do, by the way.
I was business administration because I had no freaking clue what I wanted to do. And it sounded like if you got into business, you could
Do
make a living.
much of anything.
So-
Yeah.
I was in a fraternity with a lot of business majors, and also I just want to let you guys know I am Christian. I don't want to like keep you guessing on like what I am or anything. But so you guys have both like been studying the Bible for a very long time.
Well, here, show them our Bible.
Oh, I did actually. I almost didn't have it because I was working on it upstairs. We got some tabs in our
This
Bible.
is our current Bible book.
This is version 1 of 3. We study the Bible.
Would you be offended if I asked you some questions about the Bible?
I'd love you to.
Okay.
This is great. Yeah, thank you. I'd love to.
Can you name the books of the Bible that are in the Torah?
So not the Tanakh, and you're talking about the Pentateuch: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Yes. Okay. Good. I was just making sure you weren't.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Just
We can
making
go
sure you
through
weren't
minor and
lying.
major prophets if you want. Can I ask you a
Josh
question?
used to do Bible races.
Can I ask you a question? Name
Yeah, go ahead.
3 high priests. And you're Googling, I hear the clicking. It's Caiaphas, Eleazar, and Ananias. But it's okay. That was my question, so that's not fair. We're not doing sword drills.
I
And
don't
if you've
know.
been in the church long enough, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a weird fraternity thing. It's how fast you can get to a
to a passage or to a book.
But we would love to have some challenging biblical conversation if that's where you wanted to go with this. That's what we're here for.
Here, I'll move my stuff away. All right, I'm talking to some friends on Discord. But,
Oh, you're cool.
They can't hear what we're saying. By the
It's
way.
cool if they can. It's cool.
I just didn't want you to think I was doing anything weird. So no, I didn't Google who
The 3 high priests.
the 3 high priests were. And if I sound like shaky or something, this is the first time I've ever called somebody on like a live show.
Dude,
So
this is like we're new too. This is like we're a month and a half in.
Big claps for calling up.
Yeah.
Like,
I never actually called. Now that I think about it, I never actually called into a live. I chatted in, but I don't.
I've done a lot of super chats. I've never been on the opposite
So
side.
yeah, so I get it.
But
no worries there. Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, and I apologize if I sounded a little on edge. We just sometimes have people coming in trying to like hedge us into a corner with like an agenda. And
well, I
don't necessarily think you have one. I think you might kind of have one. Like you have
I
maybe a point
I
you want
don't
to
mean
get
to be
to.
rude or anything, but I don't have an agenda or a point. I mean, I do plan on disagreeing with you guys. I've noticed that like whenever you guys are talking to people that come into your live streams, they don't like define what we're actually talking about, and it turns into some sort of emotional argument, like kind of just back and forth that doesn't really seem to get anywhere. Nobody really seems to understand
I think we have a
anything.
lot of really calm conversations on this channel. Occasionally it escalates.
Comparatively, right? Because there's a lot of atheist channels out there where they're just like, getting back and forth. We try to let the caller talk more, understand their point. Now we're gonna ask the tough questions, and unfortunately, because we're talking about something that we both understand, right, as being former Christians, that it is very emotional, right? Because if this is your core identity, like if this is what you believe is the reason you exist for, and someone is challenging the fact that it might be completely fake, like that's emotional. Like it gets.
Well, no, I don't think that people should be arguing because you're saying that their life belief is fake. I think they should be arguing because they don't want anybody to not have to live without Jesus. That's kind of the reason. are
I mean,
Christians.
I appreciate
I
that.
think that that's a very
Yeah.
fair and honest answer as a believer. So thank you for that.
And a kind approach, actually. Very much appreciate that. Yeah.
And we
Um,
actually ask each other all the time why more people aren't concerned about like our salvation.
Jackson, can I tell you something like crazy? So like so just when did I have that conversation with my mom? Monday.
Like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in the US, so it was Memorial Day. And I didn't tell my parents that I wasn't a Christian. I grew up in a like very devout Christian family. That would be an understatement. And
As the in-law, I can attest.
so I was thinking like, oh my goodness, if I tell them that I no longer am convinced that this is a real thing, that I'm never literally, we are not going to have a Thanksgiving meal without hearing about this, a Christmas, a birthday, a phone call, like the family life is ruined because every single time we engage, they're going to be like on my back about like, why don't you believe? Da, 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 and coming to me with evidence and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And so I was like super hesitant because like we have a family and I don't want like our kids to be like subject to that sort of thing. Not like we want our kids to also have an open mind, right? So I want them to hear all perspectives, but I don't want like any hostility from family. And my family typically, at least from what I saw from them when I was a Christian, were very non-passive, if that makes sense. Not necessarily like hostile by any stretch of the word, but at least not afraid to
But
speak their
like,
opinion.
yeah, vocal.
Vocal. And what was super bizarre to me is that like after the first phone conversation, like where they were just trying to be like, wait, what are you talking about type of thing, I didn't hear anything for like years. And it was kind of like the elephant in the room where I was like, I'm not going to bring this up. And when I say years, I mean 2 years. This is recent. Like I just came out to them
I
recently.
think that that's even a stretch. I would say it's a year-ish.
Yeah, actually it's probably like that. And so this conversation with my mom on Memorial Day, I was like, dude, like I was like, I really expected you guys to come at me with a bunch of like concern and stuff. And what was weird is I didn't say it on the phone call, but and she said, well, we don't get to spend that much time together all the time because we have some separation in terms of distance. But she was like, so we don't want to like make things weird when we're all together. And then when we got off the phone, like the next day I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, how concerned are you for my eternal soul? And I know she is, and I know she's praying, and I know that's her like cope for it. But at the same time, the fact that you're interested in our souls as just like randoms from the internet is meaningful, and I appreciate that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, no problem, man. But earlier here, we'll get into the Bible stuff here in a second.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, this is cool. Yeah.
Earlier, I mean, Adele had asked me if I have an agenda. No, I don't necessarily have an agenda. My end goal, which I know is probably not going to happen in this call, is to maybe like plant a seed of faith. But
Yeah,
Well,
that's
maybe
good.
our end goal is
I
to
don't want you
plant
to think
this,
I'm like
plant a
trying to get in
question.
your head. I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to get in your head or manipulate you or something. But that is like the end goal of my conversation with you. But she asked me if I have an agenda. And I think anybody going into like a conversation where you know you're going to disagree, like you're going to have an agenda. Which kind of
And to
leads
be
me to my next.
fair, just
Yeah.
a moment ago, I said I apologized if I seemed prickly because a lot of people come
No,
in
you're
here with an
fine.
agenda that's aggressive. And so I just kind of had my guard up when you asked your initial questions, and I was apologizing for that.
It's okay. You don't need to apologize. But would you guys consider that you present yourselves in like a non-argumentative way, or like
We try to.
aggressive
I would
way?
say probably 90% of the time.
I mean, there's going to be times where things
There are
cross over a certain line
there
where
are
it's like
times when conversation goes to places that
we're subject to human emotion too,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But by
But
and
I think
large, we
that by
try to
and
keep
large,
it.
yes,
By and
we
large, we
have
try
a
to
lot
keep
of
it like
really nice
this.
conversations. We have repeat callers. We
Yeah.
have callers who are believers that are subscribed to our channel. They email us regularly.
Which reminds me, one caller
We
I
have
was supposed
family
to.
pictures from our callers.
Yeah, one caller I was supposed to email when we went live next, and I just now remembered, and I'm going to do that now. I'm sorry.
Ray, I believe.
Yeah, so sorry about that, Ray.
So Ray, if you're watching, sorry.
Come on
Or
up.
later.
Come on up, Ray.
Sorry. But no, like we aren't trying to be divisive. That doesn't mean that
that's what that's a
yeah,
really
that
good
doesn't mean that
advice.
topics that people feel very strongly about don't occasionally cause emotions to rise. Of course, that's going to happen. But I would say most of the time our conversations stay pretty much at this level.
The green screen background that you guys have, is that supposed to be you guys in hell?
That is us in hell.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we believe in, is it the Hebrews version where you can go to hell even if you've believed, and then the James version is where you can't get snatched.
But you notice we're not in Sheol.
Yeah, Sheol is way down here. We're in the middle. We're in the hell zone. We're in the Gehenna phase of life.
I mean, I was Catholic. Maybe it's purgatory.
Yeah.
I've only like
we're getting some feedback. Whatever.
Hold on one second. We can't quite hear you.
Yeah, whatever just changed. We went into feedback mode.
It's a little garbledy. I bet it'll come in.
Is this better?
It's coming in.
There we go.
Try again.
Oh, no, still. Darn it, it was big when I got major. Yeah, you're good.
You're good. And if you have to like re-up, we'll bring you right back up.
Mm-hmm.
Better. Is that better?
Interestingly enough,
Kind of sounds like you're a part mosquito.
yeah, it actually garbled your audio up more. We echo a little bit less. I can tell you're tech savvy, though. I appreciate you being able to dive those.
Absolutely.
Here, well, I don't know.
Someone asked if this is what hell sounds like, and I would imagine. Okay, now actually it sounded better. It sounded better now.
Talk again.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
good. Yeah, you're good.
Clear as a bell.
Yep.
Okay. Here, if I have to, I'll just connect with my computer. With my computer, I'll probably do better.
We'll wait for you. If it comes up, we'll wait.
Yep.
No worries.
We do have someone else in the box, but as long as they're willing to, we take each caller one at a time. So,
Yeah.
And you're fantastic. I'd love to continue this conversation. So yeah. I will say we have an agenda. Like I have an agenda too, and we're both independent people. So we're not like the Facebook couple where we have, no offense to any Facebook couple.
Oh, the joint account.
We don't have a joint.
We don't even have a joint checking account.
Which is why I'm never on frickin' Facebook, because
we don't.
She's the Facebooker.
We don't do that.
But my agenda, if I'm being honest, so I'll throw my cards on the table too. So like, because you were honest, I'll be honest. My agenda is I think after personally having been a Christian for most of my life and like devoting my entire life to it, I think that if I would have been given like all of the like reasonable options from the beginning, that I might have chosen a different path. And my agenda is to present people with an option, like of the alternative view for them to choose from. So like, for example,
or even just think about.
Exactly. So like where you're coming and proposing your side of the story, that's why we do this. Like we want you to present your side of the story. When my son was growing up, I read him the Bible. I read him Norse mythology. I read him Greek mythology. We went through all of the different that I had access to, like kind of mythologies, and present in a way that's like, okay, now what do you want to do? Like here?
Or yeah, take what you want.
And I think the problem is like, yeah, go ahead.
What else did you read him? Like, did you read him anything that?
Well, they read. I mean, like everything from like Lord of the Rings to
just a lot of literature. But the primary mythologies, at the time, I was not as familiar as I am now. He's older now, and I'm more well read now than I was then. But at the time, the primary ones were Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Christianity. Oh, and it was a kid version. All of them were kid versions. We weren't like cranking through Leviticus. Like,
Yeah.
but they were the kid versions of
Hi,
everything,
yes, we're real people.
including
Sorry, just for chat purposes.
including Islam. We in fact, that's when I first realized that Jesus was in the Quran. I was like, wait, what? Like, I'm reading through this with my son, and I'm like, wait, what? And so then, of course, it made me like study more too. So,
Hmm.
I was like, I had my blinders on for most of my life for just Christianity. So actually, it was an interesting thought experiment when I started working through these things with my son to kind of expand that sort of thing. So
Um, I noticed. I mean, did you read him any like Richard Dawkins or anything?
no, at that point I was not as like hardcore like and I'm still wouldn't consider myself hardcore atheist. I like the naturalist like thought
I
process of
mean, we do
Richard
appreciate the
Dawkins.
Four Horsemen, but
Right, right. But we weren't trying to, what I was very careful not to do was indoctrinate by any stretch because
it
I
was
felt,
mostly introductions.
yeah, I feel like that's where when someone's like, "Oh, you're not a Christian. Who hurt you?" Well, all those people that didn't give me any other options. So my goal was to give our children options. Like we didn't go into like Richard Dawkins and like Sam Harris and like these like hardcore like, you know, one-way thinkers. We went more to the source texts from the cultures that support their own source text, if that makes sense.
How long have you guys? Just curious. How long have you guys been doing this?
Month and
Only
a
a
half.
couple months.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're babies. We've been watching the community for probably what, a good year and a half.
Yeah, there's like an
maybe
atheist
2 years.
community. Yeah.
Time blurs when you're an adult. It's hard for me to know what day it is. I can't believe it's almost June of 2026. So a year or two, we've been delving deep into the community, watching other content creators, giving a lot of support to the community, getting a lot of support from the community. And this guy was like, it might be kind of fun to do a little bit of a different thing where like both of us are on here and we have two different perspectives and we can have conversations with each other and you can call me out and I can call you out. And I was like, oh, sure, that's never going to happen. And then we probably started preparing to have a channel last October.
We just
And
got
it took months to dial in technology because the sound is different when you have two people and you have to have two sets of microphones that can't echo back in, or two sets of earbuds that can't echo back into your microphone to have feedback for your callers and your listeners. And you have to have the right sound studios and you have to make backgrounds and you have to, I mean, there's just a lot more than you think about. And it took us probably a good 6 months.
eh,
I don't know,
maybe
but
less than
we
that.
went live for the first time maybe 2 months ago tops, and we've just had a really good time. I would say like we don't always have the very most viewers, but as long as we have someone here to talk to, we have a good time.
I mean, we had 18,000 views on live a couple weeks ago or a week ago. So I mean, it's not bad.
I feel like
People are interested.
we have good traction as far as becoming a channel in the community. I feel like we offer a little bit of a different space than some of the other channels. I don't know.
So it says that you guys are a curious atheist couple, and that's kind of what I've seen. What are you curious about specifically?
Curious about when we're talking to a specific person, what specifically is convincing to them?
Yeah. Couldn't say it better. It's basically like,
Because it might not be the same for every person we talk to. But having been in the seats and now having kind of read, studied,
now that I think it's kind of
behaved our way out
Yeah,
almost. I'm
now-
trying to think of the way to say, like, even just like through my day-to-day life, like I've kind of like come out of it. And I'm curious, not because I necessarily have an agenda to deconstruct people, but if there are people deconstructing and they find our channel and we can help them, that is an agenda. I want to help people if they're on some kind of process of questioning, whatever that might be. That doesn't mean they have to fully deconstruct, even. That could just be maybe I'm not okay with organized religion and I want to come here to just like, I believe in a deity. You know, I mean, there's levels to it. And I think that all of that needs to be respected. And and seen. And I think that there's not necessarily always a space for that. I didn't have a space when I was going through it. He definitely didn't have a space.
Mm.
So,
I was
um,
so I was literally like jotting notes in a sticky note inside of
good
my
morning,
Bible.
Dusk Frame. So good
Dusk
to see you. I
frame,
was
good
hoping you'd wake
morning.
up.
I was jotting notes inside of my Bible of like problems that all of a sudden were like because I mean I was an apologist, so I was addressing the problems, but then there were certain problems where I was like, oh crap. And then it was like, well, what if these other problems don't have to be defended? And I was like, oh crap. And then it, you know what I mean, it was like a domino effect a little bit. Um, but the reason why what I'm curious about Christians is that like, now that we're in this age of information, so it's like if you wonder why the last section of Mark in your Bible says it wasn't in the original manuscripts, you can just Google it. Like back when I was growing up, I couldn't do that, so it was like I had to like really research to find out, and it was all hush hush in the church community, right? And then and there's a lot of other things that are just like now you just have all this information at your fingertips, and I just wonder like why, like what is it that's driving Christians to still believe after now we have all this information at our fingertips that would, in my opinion, move a person away from that in terms of like a belief structure. But that's why we have the channel, because clearly people still believe, and not everyone in the world's crazy, right? So it's like, what, like, why do you still believe? That's where it comes from.
Um, have you ever had anybody ask, like, why do you not believe?
Mhm. That's
Mhm.
typically when we start opening the text. I have a lot of problems with the text. I
Do
also
you
have a
have,
lot of problems with the organized religions and the churches themselves.
are any of the problems that you guys have from the text, uh, like from the New Testament? I guess
Yeah.
maybe you said that Mark, what would it be, like Mark 16 that talks
Yeah.
about it's like
I
in the
mean, are you gonna
footnotes or whatever?
if you're a Christian, are you gonna grab a poisonous snake and drink poison? We can pull that up.
Well, I don't think anybody would do that.
But it says in the Bible you can and you won't die if you're a Christian, which is why we have snake handlers in Louisiana.
I do think it's important before we start doing the biblical conversations to ask how much of a biblical literist you are.
Right, that's a good question. Like you could say, you know what? That's just a story. It wasn't really Jesus didn't really mean you could handle snakes. It was just a, you know what I mean? Like what's your
I mean, that
level of
opens up other questions, like which parts
because
teach you, which parts don't.
are you a Methodist or are you a Pentecostal?
Well, I mean, I grew up Catholic and I go to a Catholic church and I've read the Bible. But I mean, if you were to ask me what Hebrews talks about, I would say I don't know, but I know I've read it and I know it's in the
That's
New
fair.
Testament. I know it's kind of short. Like I've read the Bible and I remember some things. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm as much of a literist as you guys are, but
Well,
I
we're
don't
not
think
now.
that
He definitely was. I'm unsure. Catholics,
Yeah, speak
as
for
a
the
former Catholic,
can
it's a
you
little
guys
weird.
can you guys define the Catholic view of the Bible? Because like I'm like, I believe that 90% of the Bible is true. Okay, well is it the 10% that you don't believe is true, including the Jesus resurrection?
If
No,
I'm
no, no.
100% honest, I don't think I could tell you with certainty how much my dad or my stepmom or my family who is Catholic actually believed the Bible versus our religion was more centered around the priest and the homilies that they gave at the mass. There were Bible verses read, but it was so much more about like praying the rosary and going to mass and getting the Eucharist than it was about the Bible as law, that I don't know that that was ever a question asked that I could even answer, just to be honest.
Are you saying that like when you went to mass, they didn't read the Bible?
They did, but not like back to back. It would be like, here's a verse. Now we sing a song. Now the priest talks. Now we have communion. Now here's one more verse, and then you leave. Like, it just didn't feel as immersive and like into the Bible. It was more about the like traditions and the that's as
Look, I'm not.
from my
Look, I don't
memory.
want you to
Because you
take
said you
this
go to a
as.
Catholic
And
church, so
not
feel free to
Yeah,
disagree with
I don't
me.
want you to take this as me saying that I'm disagreeing with you because I've never been to a Catholic mass where it's like what you described. Like they don't read verses. I mean, I've seen almost full chapters, and they always read some from the Old Testament and then some from the New Testament,
I mean, I
and
didn't say they
they
don't
don't
read it,
really
but I don't feel like it was
they
like
don't
we
really
didn't
stop
have full on
in.
Bible study, especially not during mass.
Well,
You had
I mean,
verses that like applied to whatever the priest's homily was.
yeah, I I guess the issue I have with that is, I mean, it's not supposed to be a Bible study. There are
I'm
separate
not saying that.
Bible
I'm just
studies
saying
for
I
that.
don't know that the idea of the inerrancy of the Bible was ever presented to me when I was deep in my Catholic faith. Like
because
that wasn't a question that I held or asked of even my parents. So I don't know that I could answer where I think they fall on that
can
scale.
I ask both? We're gonna put Adele in the Catholic category just for a second, and just going back to your former Catholic self. So, do you two feel like in your Catholic experience, because every Catholic experience is different. We have Eastern Orthodox, which they I learned don't like Roman Catholics. But like in the Catholic experience, do you believe that like the Word of God is like spoken by God through people and written down, or do you believe that like people wrote it and they loved God and it's God adjacent? Like what's the percentage of God influence in the Bible?
Well, I mean, I guess it really depends on which book you're reading because some of the books,
Non-apocryphal, yeah. Like let's just say
well, I
New
mean, some of the
Testament.
books, yeah. So, I mean, it- New Testament is people writing down their experiences with God as he was here on earth. So that's kind of your answer is the answer is, well, okay, I say the gospels. I'm talking about the gospels. The gospels are people writing down their experiences of God here on earth. So that that's kind of your answer there
So is
is
it just kind of like the whole like eyewitness thing where it's like, a car hits a person on the street and the car drives off. You ask Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, what was the color of the car? Mark says it's blue, John says it's red, you know. But they saw that the car hit the person. So it's like the person was definitely hit. We just don't know what color the car was.
well, your original question was, do I believe that it's God adjacent writing? Do I believe that it's people who were
Or
told
God
by God to
breathed.
write something? Or do I believe that it's people writing something because they love God? And I guess like my answer to that question is it depends on which book of the Bible you're reading. And then you said, and then I used the Gospels as an example, and then you decided to continue with that example.
Mhm.
And then I explained that the Gospels are people writing down what they saw, like they're writing down their accounts or having people write them down for them. So that's kind of my answer. Like your question is trying to define like an entire group of books with like one writing style, but there's a bunch of different writing
So you
styles.
don't think that God is like behind the authorship? Oh, we just got echo again for some reason. So you don't think that God is behind the authorship of the whole thing? You think that like there's certain sections where it's more just like eyewitness accounts. There's certain sections that are more like God breathed, as in like what Timothy says, the word of God is inerrant, infallible, and God breathed. And then if we go in the Old Testament, I'd be interested in your thoughts. I don't want to present you more than two, so actually I'm gonna stop there. So you think like we've got eyewitness versions and then like God breathed versions, and that there wasn't like an overarching author
Well,
named
no,
God?
your use of the word versions is wrong. It's not versions. It's It's which book has which writing style. You're trying to apply one writing style to all of the books. It's not which version. It's
So so I think I understand where you're coming from with this. So I think where you're coming from, and don't let me put words in your mouth, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think where you're getting at is Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, in that order, as theological scholars and critical scholars both agree that was the order in which the Gospels were written, have a different approach or mentality, personality to their or style, as you said style to the way that they write. So, for example, Mark is the human form of Jesus. Matthew is one, Luke's another. They blend together. John is like the God as the Son of God, Son of God, the Logos thing, very influenced by Philo type of thing.
well, I mean, in the beginning of John, it's like that, but all of them are their accounts of what they saw.
So, if hypothetically you have an account where, like, and this is where I think I understand. Again, this is why I'm asking this question, not putting words in your mouth. When you have, for example, the New Testament sources that disagree with like who went to the tomb first, and they're like definitive. It's not like, yeah, a couple people went there. They're like, no, this person and this person and this person went there. And then the next gospel's like, this person and only this person went there. And then the next one's like, these two people went there,
And an angel.
and then they went back, and then two people came later. So there's like these contradictory, and they're like contradictory accounts. What you're saying is that doesn't necessarily matter because the overarching story is the main thing. Is that what you're saying? Not like the details? Am I understanding? Or like,
No,
or how do you reconcile that? That's a better question. How do you reconcile that?
Well, I want to start that in no way is what I was saying.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I apologize.
I don't mean any offense or anything, but I
Yeah.
kind of think you knew that. And I'm not going to move on to how do I reconcile with this supposed contradiction that you said.
Well,
before
it is a
we-
contradiction, but I don't
Well,
think that we're trying to be
I'm just trying to
defensive. We're just trying to
understand.
figure out
Because those are my problems.
how we can come to terms with what parts of the Bible you believe and why, and which parts are different. And these are just, we're just trying to put examples out there to gain some ground as far as how we approach the Bible.
Right, because I'll simplify it. If God had any influence over the writing of the scripture, my question is, how much influence did he have?
Okay. So, oh shoot. Hold on, I dropped something fell off my desk. Are you there?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, so I mean, I kind of want to first say, like, make it clear that we are moving on from the question that you asked, and you said that some of the books of the Bible, are they written in like, did God literally tell someone to write them down? Are they written because somebody loves God, or are they written?
Oh yeah, actually, I don't want to move past that. If you still have like an answer or a perspective on that, I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
You moved past it though.
Okay,
I
that's
feel like
fine.
he was trying to illuminate examples of that.
Right, I was trying to say like
if X and Y, it was scenario driven.
Yeah, I was trying to give a scenario out there to kind of illustrate the fact that because I was trying to understand what you meant when you said like some books might have been like more witness versions of the record, and some might have been more God just breathed versions of the record. I'm trying to understand like,
yeah,
which books are God breathed, which books are witnesses, like how do we know?
Well, I mean, you can kind of tell by the writing style, like you can tell when you read them, like what the person's saying. Like, for example, when Moses got the 10 Commandments, right, it says that God literally inscribed them with his finger. You know, that we take that and we're like, okay, God literally wrote this. and this is the writings of somebody who literally saw and interacted with God. But then you have books like Ruth, who are more writing in the way that you said, where it's like somebody writing because they love God. Or I guess I don't know. Ruth's a bad example of that. A better example would be Psalms, where it's like somebody writing because they love God. But then you said God inspired, and I think that all of them can be God inspired and those other things at the same time.
That's an interesting question. So, for example, oh man, I meant to write this down and I'm gonna freaking I'm gonna find it tomorrow. Damn it. Anyways,
I don't know where this is going.
sorry.
Maybe I do.
Okay. Let me see if I'm understanding you correctly, and I'm interested in this perspective. So, for example, it said, like you just said, Moses wrote the Ten Commandments right in the rock with his finger. Now, some Christians would be like, dude,
Well,
that's
I'm,
ridiculous.
I'm
He
sorry
didn't
to
write it with the.
interrupt,
It
but
did say
God,
that he wrote it with his finger.
it said God wrote it with his finger.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay,
God
said
wrote it.
okay,
Moses.
I
Oh,
gotcha.
dang it. That was my bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad.
You
All
misspoke.
right, let me retract that. I'm going to edit that out. Um,
It's
Don't
we
edit
don't.
it out.
We
Be
actually
real.
don't edit anything, and we don't. So, anyways, God wrote in the tablets with his finger. That's pretty definitive. Or like, for example, the flood rained for 40 days and 40 nights. That is pretty freaking literal, and it covered the entire earth. That's pretty freaking literal. Now,
mhm.
when we get into the Psalms, where David is like, if we believe that David wrote portions of the Psalms, where he's like, I am wrought out for you. The wolves are around me, the lions, they dig into my hands. You're like, okay, this is clearly from a person speaking from their heart to God. This isn't necessarily God putting inside someone's brain, write this. Some of those Psalms are poems to God. Is that like, would that be a pretty reasonable, because Ecclesiastes was probably in the same sentiment, where it's like you've got a person basically being like, they didn't believe in the afterlife, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like when you read Ecclesiastes, and so it's like, oh, this is just Solomon pontificating about the meaning of life, but it's not necessarily God putting that into his brain. And then of course you have Song of Solomon or Song of Songs, whichever version you're using, where it's talking about like the woman's breast being like a herd of lambs.
I might
That
have missed that verse.
it's good.
I might need to revisit it.
It's good. But that's more like this is more poetry. This is more like people thinking, not necessarily like God literally telling human race what's up.
I mean, yeah, but I still think that those can be God inspired, like as in God has some type of influence.
How much influence do you think God had, and how?
Well, I guess there's influence in two ways. I mean, and this is kind of the issue. Like we can't really talk about this because you don't believe it. But I'll answer your question anyway.
I can
I
get
mean,
inside my head though and put myself to a place where I did believe it, so I can answer you from that honest perspective, and then I will step back and give you my current perspective if it helps.
so yeah, God inspired them, one by creating us, but also by influencing us, like influencing all the people who wrote it. And the question that you asked, right, is you pointed out two things. You pointed out one, it's like super literal in some, and then in others, it's like people writing, I guess, love poems to God. Well, I'll just stick to like Psalms for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't really think that's a skeptical position. That doesn't really contradict the Bible or anything. Like I'm pretty sure that one guy, the big Catholic Augustine.
Oh yeah.
Augustine said similar things to what you said. I mean, I don't understand how that's like a contradiction
I
to
don't think
the,
it's a contradiction. In fact, what's interesting is I never thought about it until this very conversation, but I think that's how I thought too. And I think that I could be wrong. People in the chat tell me I'm an idiot, but like I think that is
I
a,
actually think it's a more honest way to read the text.
and actually I think it's probably the majority way to read it. I think most people would agree with you that, like, if even, you know, as Christians, that like when David was like throwing his heart out, he would say like, everything is hopeless, everything is hopeless, and then at the end he'd be like, oh, but because I throw myself out to you, I'm going to be saved. That clearly wasn't a thing where God was like, if God was going to just like type a letter to people, he would say, nothing is hopeless, chill the heck out, I will have you at the end. You know what I mean? But I
Well,
think the fact that the poetry in the Bible, which is some of the greatest works in the Bible, in my opinion, is people having the emotions, and it helps other people relate to the Bible, if that makes sense.
do you not think it could be argued that God did write us that letter saying it's not hopeless, don't be afraid, by the end of David's psalm where he says it's not hopeless because I throw myself to you?
Well, and that could be the thing where, to your point, that it's inspired by God. Because if, for example, David wasn't a God believer, he might have ended the letter and this is it, and dashed himself off a cliff, right? He might not have been like, but I'm going to get saved by God. So the inspiration of God, the motivation of God could have been the reason why it ended in such a positive way. Just,
Okay.
I mean, it could be, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I just hadn't had that thought before. Interesting.
Um, so moving back, I don't want to make your show boring for the people watching
No,
it
you're
because
fine.
if
No,
we
you're
just
good.
talk to each other and we just
Well, let's
agree
go
with
a
each
little
other,
farther because I
people
feel
are
like
gonna.
we kind of have been scratching the surface a little bit. And we have Sterling in the box. Sterling, if you don't mind waiting just a little bit longer, I'd like to get a little deeper with Jackson. And then maybe, Jackson, we could have you back again. I would like that too.
So I do have a question, Jackson. So, like, going to the New Testament, because I feel like as a Catholic, no offense, this is my Protestant snarkiness coming out,
Yeah, are you prejudging Catholics?
prejudging the Caths. So, do you believe that like the book of Acts was literal, or the book, like which of the do you, because the because you wanted to not talk about the incongruencies of the Gospels, because you have four different authors writing the same story four different times. They have that like vast differences, which we can start going through them if you want to, but I don't think you do. But like,
Well,
do you
it's not
believe
that
that
I
there's
didn't
certain,
want to go through them. It's just that you were moving on too fast.
Yeah, we just weren't there yet, right?
okay, is it like, do you believe that then like in the New Testament, like we could even take a benign book like the book of Acts, like do you believe that the book of Acts was like a accurate historical record that was God inspired, meaning that this wasn't like Josephus, who was just writing down history to the best of their ability, but this was like a person who God was telling them what to actually
Well,
write? Or is there
um,
no book like
I'm
that?
sorry, but the book of Acts is like that.
Like
The book,
Josephus?
a historical account, like you were describing. The book of
Okay.
Acts. Do you know who it was written by?
Luke.
Luke.
And we
And
don't know that Luke was
what
written
does
by
it say?
Luke, but
What does it say in Luke?
the pseudonym of Luke, yes.
Okay, all right. Wait, just for the record, you said Luke.
Yeah, I
Um,
did. I did. It's
what does
easy.
it
We'll
say?
keep it easy. We'll keep it
What
easy.
does it
For
say
ease.
Our
in
our beloved Theophilus is how we know. But anyways, go ahead.
what does it say in Luke 1? It says
Our
something like
beloved Theophilus, which is what then we also get in the second volume, which is
what,
Acts. He says the same thing.
well, I'm getting at the where he writes, he's like, I've carefully investigated everything from the
Oh
beginning.
yeah. You know what? I'm a salesperson and I always carefully investigate, just so you know.
Thank you. Um, so the guy who carefully investigated everything from the beginning also wrote the book of Acts. So the
So
book of
would
Acts
you
is not presenting.
argue that it's probably accurate without errors? Or do you think that it has errors? And how many
Well,
errors are tolerable?
you keep adding new questions before I can answer the first one.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
It's,
That's my bad.
it's okay. No, you don't need to be sorry. It's fine. It's just so Luke is like in the Bible, we see Luke presented himself not like as a poet or like a metaphor writer, not as like Buster Rhymes or whatever. No, he is a historian. And Acts, if you read the book of Acts, it doesn't read like something with metaphors. It reads like a historical account, you know, like it says
Agreed.
this guy went here and then this happened and then so on and so forth.
Agreed. So I guess my question would be, because I agree with all of that. Luke is presenting in a way that you would believe. In fact, he goes so far as to say, blah blah blah. He even dogged on Mark, believe it or not. He said, "There's our Theophilus, who we love." Blah blah blah. Wait a minute, where does it say it? Where he's like, "I too decided."
Oh, right there, number 3.
Verse 3. I too decided, as one having a grasp of everything from the start, to write a well-ordered account for you. So clearly, the order before, which we know is Mark, right, is like, I'm going to write you a well-ordered account. Now, that's being facetious, right? He maybe loved Mark. And in fact, we know because he takes sections of Mark word for word that he had Mark. And we know that he takes Josephus word for word in part. So he had both Josephus and Mark as source materials. He also had other source materials, which is awesome, that we don't have now. So without Luke, there's a lot of material that we just wouldn't have today. And because he wrote that section in between, like, after Jesus went up into heaven, that none of the other writers wrote about, it's really our only like account of that time period. But here's where you're going to get cooked, and I'll just give you a spoiler alert. The problem is with Acts, and we won't even actually go there because I don't have the brain power for it right now, but read Galatians and compare it to Acts, because the problem is you have an autobiography, which is Paul, and Acts is writing about Paul. And Paul, you have his sincere letters. Like, he is just writing, like, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going. And Acts contradicts Paul in what's even going on with Paul's own autobiography. So my question is, like, how much of it's true? Like, you know what? And this is what I would grant you before because I don't want to set you up on a trap. Oh, go ahead, actually, go ahead. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Real quick, I mean, I'm not getting on to you here. I'm just explaining what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You said my question is, and then said a different question each time. But what I want to start with is, in the book of Luke that you had pulled up where he's like, I'm going to write you a well-ordered account.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I don't understand is where in I'm going to write you a well-ordered account in Luke 3 or Luke 1:3. I too decided, as having a grasp of everything from the start, to write a well-ordered account for you. Where does it say that Mark's account was like bad?
It says, since many have undertaken, meaning Mark, many have undertaken, and probably others. Mark probably wasn't the only gospel floating around as Mark, right? There was probably other narratives out there. That's an assumption because we don't have the text. But Luke says many. So a bunch of people have undertaken to compile a narrative about the events that have been fulfilled among us. Now, I would believe that means stuff about Jesus.
Yeah.
Just as they were handed on to us by those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and servants of the word, I too decided, as one having a grasp of everything from the start, to write a well-ordered account for you, most excellent Theophilus. So it's an assumption. I'll grant you that. It's an assumption. It's an assumption. It could be wrong.
Other people are writing inaccurate accounts.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be that Mark is accurate because obviously, like I said before, Luke takes from Mark and he uses Mark as a source material, right? So like, clearly, if you're copying someone's paper word for word, it's a source material. So he didn't think that Mark was like wrong, but he did feel it necessary to expand, clarify. What would you say? What do you think Luke's intentions were in having to make something? If a gospel is God breathed and perfect, why do you need another version?
That's how I was going to put it.
I think if you knew about the most important event in mankind, you too would like write a book about it. Like you too would add your own collection to it. I don't think that him adding his own well-ordered account of what happens is him saying that the other ones are gonna do away with time and they might not be remembered. I think that perhaps he saw how important everything was and he wanted to make his own account because because he loved Jesus, like because he loved God. I guess you're kind of putting thoughts in Luke's head here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, to be fair, we have to try to interpret the different gospels, why they're different from each other, why they aren't completely cohesive, and why that might be as readers, right? Like, as an English major, you have to try to put thoughts into the writer's head to understand the text. That's part of reading.
And it's assumption. It's an assumption, to be fair. So if Mark and Luke disagree at times with plot points, is Luke just being more well organized or has better sources? And where does God fit in? Like, was God like helping them write, or were these people just doing the best that they could?
So I want to go back. You asked me if Mark and Luke disagree at times. You're what you seem to be getting at is why do they disagree?
Yeah,
Right.
it's a big problem for me.
Okay. Do you mind telling me where exactly they disagree at?
Yeah, let's see here. Let me see if I can find. Oh yeah. Oh, dang it. Yes, there's a big one actually. It's an interesting one actually, and it has to do with the fact that Luke also wrote Acts, so he was trying to set up Volume 2. It's like freaking Tolkien with Lord of the Rings. So this is going to be interesting. Actually, let's hold that one. Let's go to Mark 16:5, but let's put it in context. So let's go to boom. Let's go to 3 through 7. Boop. All right. So they've been so this is they're going to the tomb, which we would agree the resurrection tomb scene is a pretty major, like,
Plot point.
scene. It's not like we're breaking bread here. I mean, that's also a big one, but the tomb. They had been saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw the stone, which was very large. It had already been rolled back. So when they got to the tomb, or I'm going to talk about who got to the tomb, but when they got to the tomb, it was already rolled back, and it said, "And they entered the tomb, and they saw a young man, dressed in a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed." He said to them, "Don't be alarmed." So okay, so Mark says they come to the tomb, the stone is rolled away, young man sitting inside.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
And real quick, who before you move on, who are you saying they is?
Actually, we'll have to go back one step further. It is let me see. Let's see how far back.
Good question, by the way.
Yeah, that was a great clarifying question. Let's go back to just 16:1. Let's see if it names them. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome. So we've got 3 women. Mary Magdalene, mother of James, Mary, and Salome. So we've got 3 women arrive at the tomb. Stone is rolled away. 1 young man inside the tomb. Don't be alarmed. So actually, we jot that down in our brains. I'm gonna trust her because her brain's better than mine. And let's rock to Luke. Actually, you know what I think I can do? Actually, hold on.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I can bring up multiple verses. Okay, cool. Okay, let me see if I can find where the Luke passage is. Here it is. Here we go. 24. It's like in the 24 range. Luke 24. We're just gonna go 1 through.
We'll just go
8.
1. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's fair because it's second. Okay. All right. 3 women: Mary Magdalene, mother of James, Salome. Stone rolled away. 1 dude inside the tomb. Okay. Next up, Mark. Wait, Luke. Sorry. Luke 1 through 8. 24 1 through 8. But on the first day of the week, I hate to break 2. That's gonna. Okay. At early dawn, they went to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb. Same thing, right? Oh, dang it. We got to go back farther because
Yeah.
son of a gun, we don't know who's there. God, this is good though. And actually,
Good at
thank you for
20.
hanging with me, Jackson, on this because let's just go 23 1 through 24 because I don't know how to do this.
Why
Sorry.
don't you just go to 23?
Yeah,
You
I'm
don't
just
have
going
to
to go
have an
23 through
endpoint.
24. 23 through 24. There we go. Boop. Boop. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to be cute with this. See, now you know that we're not like we're kind of new to this. We're still learning how to even use this on the screen. Okay, blah 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 blah. We're gonna get to the thing. Who goes?
The crucifixion.
Blah
The
blah
death.
blah. Loud voice, singing spirit, Galilee. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go. It might not tell us until a bit. Actually, we might not have been off. It might tell us later. Oh. Here it goes. The women who had come from him. So who are the women that had come from him? All right, we might have to come back to that one. We might have to come back to that one on who the women were. I don't want to bore people.
The women who had come with him from Galilee.
Followed, and they saw the tomb, and how his body was laid, and then
it might not name them.
It might not name them, actually. They returned and prepared spices and ointments. But on the first day of the week, at early dawn, they went to the tomb, taking the spices that they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, so that's consistent. Okay, the stone's rolled away. But when they went in, they did not find the body. So they went in, no apparent dude there, like last time. While they were perplexed about this, suddenly 2 men in dazzling clothes stood beside them. The women were terrified and bowed their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here, but he has risen." I do wish that it says which the... Oh, it was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women. So it's like a gaggle of women. But in this instance, there's like, they go into the tomb, and all of a sudden, then there's like 2 dudes there with dazzling clothes. I mean, this isn't major, but I'm just asking, like, how much of this did God really inspire? Like, it inspires one, like, you know what I mean? Is it like just same? Are we splitting hairs here?
Well, real quick, I would like to point out something. I don't know if you know that you do this, but you make arguments, you make like anti-Christian arguments that aren't... Oh, my phone's dying. I'm sorry, man. Dang it.
Oh no, come back.
Hey, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Oh, you're cutting out.
Dang it.
I think we might be losing
We want you to come back if you can still hear us. But we do have a next person up, Sterling. Jackson, if you get some charge, come back. We've got Sterling
we do want to hear
in the
your
box.
thoughts.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear your thoughts. I don't want to presume what he was going to say. He did re-enter, but we have been going for an hour. I don't want to leave Sterling on the hook for too long, but I also don't know how long Jackson has. Oh man.
Let's pull him up for a second and see if we can get like a...
Jackson, are you back?
Oh yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, we got you.
Did you get charged?
We've got a little bit of an
I
echo.
just switched to my computer.
I do. Okay, so we do have Sterling in the box, and he's been waiting for a while. But I want you to be able to make the last point, and if you can come back, you have made excellent points, and we would love to have more conversations if you're willing to, or actually when Sterling's done talking, if you want to come back even then, that's cool too. But you were starting to make.
You're
a
saying
point.
We make anti-Christian arguments,
right? And then
yeah, what I was saying is like what you'll do sometimes, and I'm not telling you like not to do it or anything.
Okay.
I just
You're
don't know
good.
if you know
Yeah.
you do this.
Yeah.
You'll like make anti-Christian arguments that don't have to do with necessarily the point in question, but you'll just kind of throw them in there. And I don't
I
know
would
if you're doing
disagree.
that for the audience.
Well, what do you
Like
mean
I would
by that?
disagree. I
well,
think this
for
has everything to
example,
do with the point.
the best
There's the
example that I
contradiction
have,
between Luke and Mark.
well, the best example I have is I shouldn't even have said anything because it's like off topic, but
Huh.
the best example I have is when we were talking about, do I feel like it's divinely inspired? Do I feel like God literally told someone to write it down, etc.? And inside of that question, you bring up contradictions in the Gospels.
Well, we were trying to prove a point about, one, how much of the Bible is true, and two, how much you believe and what you think about it. So I don't think it was off topic at all.
Because some people just get off this one really easily and they just say, you know what? God didn't really tell them what to write. It was just like, they wrote what they felt.
And some he did.
And so how do we know what he did and didn't is our big question.
I guess like one example is, didn't God literally tell Moses to inscribe the Ten Commandments? Or not inscribe. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I got that wrong. But didn't God literally
that's
tell
good
Moses?
Because now we're even. Because I screwed up the first time.
Yeah. you know what I mean? Like, didn't God literally tell Moses, like, go do this at some points? But then in other instances, I keep bringing up Ruth, but Ruth is like a bad example of this. But in other instances, it's people writing kind of inspired by God's working, and God is working through them as they're writing it. And I guess Ruth is kind of a good example of that. Because
dude, by the way, just you need to, I know you said that this is like one of the first calls you've done, and you need to do this more often. You're really good. Like you have very insightful points, and you also keep hosts with attention issues on task. So I appreciate that. So
I don't like arguing with people. I'm not really going to do this anymore.
I don't think this is an argument. I think this is a conversation. I don't feel like you're arguing. I think this is a good conversation. If you feel like we're arguing with you, we apologize.
No. You said I should do this more, and I don't really think I would like to, because I think it is like a lot of arguing. But I just.
Would you come back with us though? Because the reason why is because, first of all, you're you're definitely well read. You have excellent reasoning, and I think that what you do, whether it's for us or not, you give the viewers a very how do I say this? Like, well represented point. Like, they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's two sides of it's like Batman and Joker. The only reason Batman's awesome is because Joker's like so good. You know what I'm saying? Like you're only.
Okay, and right now we're not labeling who's who.
No, yeah, we're not saying who's who, but I'm just saying, like, the argument's only as good as the counter argument.
As the counter, yes.
Right, and you bring some excellent arguments. I really appreciate that.
Well, we didn't even get. I mean, I feel
we're
like
scratching the surface.
And so,
that's what I was about to say.
You asked a question though. I want to answer it before you give the other person a chance, because I don't want to take
absolutely.
up too much time.
Which question can you
I know
remind us?
You guys normally go for about 5 hours. We're at
like
we'll
still be on. I'm sure. If you want to come back in the queue, by all means.
I don't want to take up much more of your time. But
no, you're good.
You had mentioned, how it said, like, one account says that there was one angel, and then another account says that there were two in the tomb, right? Well, I mean, I guess I don't really. If one account said that there were, no angels, and then another account said there were two angels, then there would be a contradiction, right? But one account saying that I saw one, and then another account saying I saw two. I mean, I know you've heard this before, and I know I'm kind of repeating like Clef Nectal stuff or whatever, but it is true. If somebody seeing one in one story, and then somebody seeing two in the second story, it is like, that's not necessarily a contradiction. It's just one person adding extra details. Like you saying, I saw like, if you go to a parking lot and you say, I saw a car, that doesn't mean there's only one car in the parking lot, right?
So yeah, I would agree. So the other verses, for like, if you want to jot this down, and for the audience, and definitely, appreciate that. The other account is Matthew 28, 2-5. So that's what happens in Matthew. We're not going to go there now. This is just if people are interested and they want to look and see like what the differences between all four are. And then the next one is John 20:12. And then I'm just talking to angels. Then you can look at who went there, how, when. But I definitely want to pick this up next time, and I'd like to talk about bigger issues like theological questions, like, I mean, we can obviously get into James and Paul, and James versus Jesus and all this sort of stuff, but actually James and Jesus didn't disagree. It was more like Jesus and Paul.
Yeah, Jesus and Paul.
But we could talk for hours, and that's what I love about you. So please,
if you subscribe, have some really long and good
if you subscribe, we usually try to give ourselves a couple of hours notice when we're going live. And we usually try to go live at least a couple times a week. So we have a blast doing this.
And it sounds like you've watched us before. Do you have a username? Well, I don't want you to
say
if you don't want to say, but if you want to email us,
who
to watch for in the chat.
Inquirycouple at Gmail.
Ever in the chat, I would love that just to know.
Yeah. Inquirycouple at Gmail. We also email people that are great callers so that they know when we're going
live.
And
apparently Gracie really liked you, Jackson. She really wanted to come up and say hi, so I wanted to give her that
Gracie.
chance before.
Very nice.
She was really incessant about making her debut tonight. So,
well, Jackson,
I'll let you guys get to the next person.
Thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Cool. Dude, big W for Jackson. That was a great conversation.
It was interesting. It was very interesting.
Sterling, you are up next. I think I'm going to refill my water real quick. Adele's going to tell the story of Gracie while I do that. And
the story of Gracie.
Sterling, we're bringing you up.
Story?
I'm not going far. I'm just going around this green screen.
The sink is behind the green screen. Big shock. Secrets exposed to all of the watchers. Our green screen is in our basement bar, and the sink is behind us. So when we have to go get water, we have to reach behind the green screen and do some contortions. But he did it like a champion. And the story of Gracie is that she's old and blind. Oh, the Gospel of Gracie, according to Duskframe.
Oh, that's great.
Today she has on her summer dress. It's got flowers. Most awkward dog in the world.
Yeah. All right, let's bring up Sterling.
All right, Sterling said they're nervous. Don't be nervous. Come on up.
Yeah, Sterling.
We're excited to talk to you. Thank you for waiting.
Are you over the age of 18?
Yes.
Who would say no to that is my question, but that's not the first question. But Sterling, thanks for joining us. And we're again, we want to make sure this is like a dialogue. Obviously, we have questions. I don't know how much you heard of last conversation, but we're former Christians. And we're interested in knowing why Christians still kind of believe, but do you have questions for us? How do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. Just go easy on me. I'm used to talking to people one-on-one, not to a couple and a group of other people.
Well, to be fair, we have different strengths, and we don't try to gang up on people.
Yeah, we're not getting.
We try to more he knows the Bible verse at the drop of a hat. I don't always, but I sometimes have big questions. I don't know. We just kind of.
Yeah. All right. Well, my name is Sterling. I'm 34 years old. I'm Roman Catholic. I've read the Bible front to back. I've studied the Bible, and I've taken some classes as well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, big W for reading the Bible front to back. One thing that was super annoying for me when I was a Christian was that I was like, this is the word of God. How are people not reading this thing? You know what I'm saying? So honestly, the fact that you're reading it is awesome, and I appreciate that.
I got a curveball for you if you like complicated scripture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I believe, and when I read the Bible, of course, reading the Bible is one thing, understanding it's another thing, applying it's a whole different story. And then when you start cross-examining it to other parts of the Bible, you start trying to make sense of it. It starts revealing different things to you the more you study it. The Bible can't just be read. It has to be studied. And one thing that I noticed is that something that really puzzled me that I read the other day was I was trying to find it specifically. I think it's Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 through 53.
All right, hold on. We're just editing. Actually, if you can get a touch closer to your mic, That'll probably help a little bit. Okay, so sorry, Matthew, what was it again?
It was 52 through 53.
Matthew chapter, what was it?
52.
Sorry. Oh, chapter 52 through 53? Wait.
So
There's not
chapter
52.
27.
I was gonna
That
say
makes sense.
there's not 52
Yeah.
chapters in Matthew.
Yeah,
Okay. That was the
there
first
was-
test.
You need a space.
Oh. 27.
52.
50. I should actually have you on this through 50. Okay, cool. Actually, I don't know that would work.
No.
Okay.
Not when I'm holding the
Oh,
dog.
and I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on. Here we go. Boop. Okay, here we go. 52 to 53. Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
Yes, sir. If you can read it for us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it says the tombs were also okay, and actually, what's the context of this? Where are we at here?
This is actually almost in line with what you guys were talking about
The
just a
tomb
minute ago.
stories.
The
Okay.
tomb story, correct. Yeah.
Is this right when he has died? What has happened
I was-
before this, actually?
But you can bring up the whole chapter if you'd like to get some context. I'm sorry, I have to. I'm on the web page.
Oh no, you're
every
great.
time I-
You're great. Let's go
Just
go
go to 50.
48 just
Yeah.
to like give me a little context here. And I don't know how many verses are in this, but let's just go 57. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, 48. So at once one of them ran and got a sponge.
so he's on the
Oh,
cross.
so we're okay, so he's on the cross. Okay. So at once one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a stick, and gave it to him to drink. But the others said, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to save him." Then Jesus cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. After his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many. Okay, so that's the 44. So I do understand the context here. Yep.
Yeah. So this is funny. There's a prophecy being revealed here. So it says the saints were risen and were flowing into the city, and that they were like communing or something. Do you think that maybe Saint Joseph was there with everybody? So there's a funny prophecy being revealed here. I'll give you an example Jesus, and this goes, we'll have to cross-examine another verse here in a minute to
Sure.
reveal the prophecy that's being unveiled here. So Jesus, at the Last Supper, he tells Peter that he would deny him 3 times before the cock crows or something like that. He's telling us in advance, he's giving us the prophecy up front, and as prophecy would have it. And then the prophecy is revealed, and it gets lived out. And I was wondering, so the funny thing about the Paschal mystery and the Passover is that when Jesus was a kid, Saint Joseph and Saint Mary used to host the Passover in Jerusalem, the same place where Jesus hosted his Passover, his last Passover with us. There's a certain level of likeness there. And then when Saint Joseph and Saint Mary, when they were leaving to go back to Nazareth or wherever, they realized that Jesus the boy isn't with them. And so they frantically look for him. And for 3 days, they look for Jesus until they finally find Jesus. And he says, "Don't you know that I should be in my Father's house?" Where he's preaching at the temple and conducting his Father's business. So there's a major prophecy, I think here. So when Jesus, there's the likeness is that the Passover is in Jerusalem. The second likeness is that Jesus was lost for 3 days. And let's see, what was the third? And the third likeness is that Jesus' parents were looking for him. So, and technically there's a fourth one where it is like a deeper hidden one about him conducting business in his Father's house. But I'll keep it simple. So Jesus, so that was when he was a boy. So now when he hosts his Passover,
Which, can I ask a question? Was that Jesus when he got lost for 3 days? Which, by the way, parent nightmare.
Absolutely.
right.
We were just riding away with our donkey and cart. We get away from the temple and we're like, hey, where's JC?
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
oh, dude, we just like we left him somewhere in Jerusalem, and they like can't find him for 3 freaking days. Was that John?
That's a good question.
I think it was. I'm only and here's my only assumption. Just knowing why each of the gospels were written, how they were written. I'm assuming John. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I can look that up.
Chat. Fact check me on this, or we can
Fact
Google
check
it real
me.
quick here.
Yeah,
Jesus 12-year old in temple. It is setting blah blah. Dude, come on, Google. Luke, it's Luke.
Ow.
It's Luke.
This dog is pulling my hair.
Okay, anyway,
Yeah,
sorry. Interesting. Okay, sorry. Side note, didn't mean to derail. Okay, so you're saying that there's levels to this. There's like levels to this. Like Jesus was disappeared for 3 days. The parents were okay.
Yeah. So it's important. You could bring up the scripture if you'd like to. It's like I'd have to Google it myself. It was like I know it's like verses 40.
You just cut out, but you were right. It was
Now I hear you now.
Yeah, we hear you now. It's Luke 2:41-52, and you're correct. He's in the temple. He blows the scribes away because he's like 12 years old, and he's like this. And I'm gonna insert some interesting assumptions here, but you've got a kid who's 12.
Absolutely.
Whose dad is a tecton, which a tecton was a person who worked with their hands. That we translate it today as carpenter, but it doesn't necessarily mean a woodworker. It could have been like just like a day laborer with rocks.
Or
right. So like regardless of what it was, whether he's making tables and chairs or whether he's like honing stone, this is a manual laboring dad, and you've got a 12-year-old kid, and he reads Isaiah, I believe, so well that the scribes are like blown away. And so he's there for like a period of time, right? The 3 days. And by the time his family comes back and finds him, he's like, I was always in my father's house, of course, you fools. He didn't say you fools, because actually he said you shouldn't call anyone a fool. So actually, sorry.
That was projection.
That was projection. Okay. So that's the Luke story. What were you thinking from here?
So so he's foreshadowing here or foretelling here when he responds to his parents when he says, "Don't you know that I should be my father's house?" He's foreshadowing this moment when he's on the cross as well, or when his passion ends and he gracefully dies. So the shoot. So the thing was here is that in the passage that we originally read, where 53. Where after his resurrection they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city, and he's talking about the saints in 52. The saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and his resurrection they came out of the tombs. So like there's like a likeness there. It's like there's something that the Holy Bible there's a prophecy being foretold here where the royal family is being reunited once again. It's like the same story as when he was a boy, but it's now when he's older. And I was wondering what your thoughts are around that.
So that's okay. First of all, couple things. I have to address the obvious for the audience. This does seem a little bit like a zombie apocalypse. But the zombies aren't eating people, right? Because if dead people are coming out of tombs, I mean, it's a little crazy. But okay, let's. So I have 3 thoughts. 3 thoughts.
Sure.
Thought number 1 is the zombie apocalypse thing, and that's just because I'm cheeky. Thought number 2 is, like, actually, I lost my thought number 2. So, sorry, ask the question one more time. That's my own. People can say I need my medication, but
you're okay, brother. Listen, so it says like the tombs were emptied, and it's talking about the saints specifically. There's also some like deep theology about what Jesus was doing when when his time ended on the cross, and like how he went down, and he was also preaching in purgatory or in Hades or whatever, and he does like a victory lap. But I don't
Right,
like
but that's
saying
not in the text though. That's not like that's not in the canon. That'd be like in the Apocrypha.
sure. So like I don't really, yeah, I'm not really too well versed on that portion of it, but I was just going based strictly off scripture here
Okay,
because
I
of
do have my
what
third
likeness.
thought. The zombie thought got me, and I forgot my second thought. But my third thought, which is the major one, is this.
The zombie thought.
The major thought is this. If you are writing a book, and you're just one of 66 entries into a composition,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey guys, get this. And Tolkien did this. Heck, he wrote the Silmarillion, and then he did this. You're like, hey, at the end of this deal, guess how long this dude goes into the ground? 3 days. Guess how long this dude gets lost in the city? 3 days. Where's the prophecy in the Old Testament where Jesus gets lost for 3 days? Like, what? Because if you're writing a book and you have a self-contained prophecy, I can write a book tomorrow that says there was an apple boy that was hopping around, and he got lost in the woods for 3 days, and then at the end of the story he gets like crucified and buried for 3 days, and they're like, holy cow, dude, this story has to be true because he got lost in the woods for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit like, where's the evidence? Like, where's not the evidence isn't the right word, but like, where's the extra source outside of your contained thing?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, I mean, it's like it's basically the pinnacle of the story is at the end here in 52, where it talks about the tombs and it's talking about the saints being risen. It doesn't ever talk about much about Saint Joseph. It's like it's telling you a story without telling you it, but like so like the saints raising from the dead. What saints were currently not here on earth or here on earth when that happened? It was Saint Joseph, and it definitely it completes the conjunction of the family being reunited once again at the end of his passion or the resurrection.
I think it's a great story. I mean, it's a lot like the story of Joseph in its own book, where Joseph has a dream, and not Saint Joseph. Wait a minute, was the Joseph of many colors not a saint, or were they both saints? I'm not Catholic.
The Joseph of many colors.
The Joseph that had the coat of many colors. Was he also a saint?
I believe they did give him sainthood, but I'd have to go and look that up myself.
Let's say the OG Saint Joseph, when he had his coat of many colors, and he was telling his brothers that, hey, I had these dreams, and basically the dreams mean that you're going to bow down to me, and they get super mad at him, and they throw him in a pit, and then he gets, eventually, he fulfills the prophecy of the dream where they eventually bow down to him, but it's all written in the same book, so you're kind of like, well, okay, Tolkien, we get it. You created a prophecy and you fulfilled it within the same book. It's like, where's the like evidence? Now, if you were to say in the Old Testament, Isaiah said that Jesus was going to be buried for 3 days and raised from the dead, and his name would be called Jesus. Now, that's interesting to me. Like, whoa, wait a minute here. Not just that you rode a donkey, because let's be honest, a lot of people rode donkeys back then. I mean, that's a little sketchy.
Yeah. So I guess the big picture here is that I guess like I don't know, I just really wanted to share that with you guys and the people that are listening, because it's a cool thing that's revealed within the Bible, and it kind of shows that that the Bible has many things that are kind of like hidden underneath the surface, that there's like more to the Bible than just like rules, laws, and parables. There's a beautiful love story, and there's other weird things being revealed throughout the Bible.
Actually, I'm going to give you that for sure. Because it's the reason why it's lasted, right? I mean, there are awesome things about the Bible. Honestly, here's the thing. I didn't know how brilliant it was until I wasn't a Christian. Like, literally, like within the last like probably 2 years, I have realized just how brilliant the Bible is. And it's like, I would say mind-blowing, but that's not true, because I understand how it came to be, but the circumstances and the way that it was constructed is pretty fascinating to me, and it is amazing. Bible's my favorite book. Adele knows I read it more than I should.
So you're a champion, dude. I like that, man. You're cool, man.
Well, cool. We appreciate you bringing that up. And we would love to have you back, by the way. Hopefully this broke the ice so that next time you have like a cool idea or a cool like thought like that, you're willing to come back up.
Yeah, we're not trying to chase you out if you
Yeah.
have other text you actually want to go down.
No, that's okay. Do you guys have any questions for me? Do you have any like interesting questions to ask me?
I mean, I have questions about, and I don't want to bore people with like so okay, so like if the Bible has like these cool little nuances, where it's like we've intricately built these little layers, right? But then we have like some things that are like major plot points that are like completely off topic. So like let me pull up some verses here real quick here. Hold on, let me see if I can
Sure.
find
And
it.
you guys are you both you both are like you said you guys are both Christians right now, or you guys are just studying?
No. We're both atheists. We used to be
You both
Christians.
atheists. Okay.
You're like, oh crap, actually I'm out of here.
No, not at all.
Don't-
No, it's interesting.
Okay,
I
good,
think
good,
that's
good,
really
good,
cool.
good. I'm glad that you came up actually, because again, we were former Christians. So just so you know, I was a Christian for way more of my life than I wasn't a Christian. And I don't think I'm any smarter or better now than I was when I was a Christian. So I've got no judgment on Christians. I love Christians. We just don't believe in Christianity anymore. So we had this channel because we were like, why do Christians still believe when there's kind of like this new evidence out there of like, Christianity potentially not being real? And so then we were like, well, let's just ask people like, why do they still believe in Christianity? And that's kind of where this channel came from.
Oh, that's neat. Yes, I can see that. Well, like,
Yeah.
you know, so like, so you're both atheists right now, and you're trying to find some understanding in other people and what draws them to the church.
Well, and I just think that the conversations are interesting because at the end of the day, even if we don't all believe in the same thing, I think that these topics shouldn't be off limit, especially in like a safe space to address them. I think sometimes as atheists in the Bible Belt, we feel like we're not allowed to talk about our deconstruction and where we are now. And
so that's
I don't know.
cool.
It just
it
feels very taboo. And so having a place where people can come up and say, I believe because of this, and we can have back and forth and we can have discourse.
Yeah.
It
think
just
if you
seems
know
like
the history well.
say it again, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
No, you're
so
okay.
I think if you know the history well and you've read the Bible, or you don't really need to read the Bible, but you should. But like if you know the history of how like the church comes about, I know very specifically the Catholic Church, because of the apostolic such as whatever you call it, and like if you've gone through all the facts and you like and you've compiled everything and you can't like come from like a tangible reason to believe, at this point like you really should just take a leap of faith and try to believe and just ask yourself to believe.
Yeah, but belief isn't a choice.
True, and it can be. I would always urge you to go to the Catholic Church because it's like
I
they I know it can be daunting, and like they have
I
like
was
all
a
the 7
Catholic, so I
segments.
did go
Oh,
to the
really?
Catholic Church. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. That's the good part because I've watched. I like the Catholic Church. They have the 7 sacraments.
I was the cantor at Mass every Sunday.
Oh, nice.
I could sing you some Eagles Wings like that.
Man,
and she can sing
that
it well.
Is awesome.
My name is Adele.
Good.
Her name is Adele, actually.
I actually came before that Adele.
She's the original Adele.
There you go. See, God brought me here to bring you guys back to church.
Hey, see? Okay, so here's the deal. Now that you know what the channel's about, we want you to come back, if you will, and we're not running off now, but what I do want to do is like because
sometimes
you
it's fun to kind of like
you stepped into an area that we didn't mean to trick anybody. Like we're burning in hell for a reason. Like we're down here. So
okay.
Hey, we're not all the way down.
We're not in the all the way down. We're middle. So
this could be purgatory. We're
can
Catholics,
be swayed.
right?
We can be swayed. But here, so can I? I'm trying. I don't even know where to start exactly, but I guess one of the places I'd start with like maybe a bigger one where it's like, if the Bible, so like, do you believe that the Bible was like written by God? Like, do you think the Bible, like God wrote the Bible, or had people write the Bible and he told them what to write? Like, what's your like level of like, how much did God influence the Bible?
Yeah, so probably like 100%. The whole Bible is probably Holy Spirit inspired. I mean, I know that it goes all the way back to the Old Testament, like
Sure.
to whatever BC for the Old Testament, and then it was like recompiled, or it was written in like 50 or 70 AD, and then it was compiled by canonization. And I believe that like it would be silly for me to think as a like very strong believer that this wasn't like 100% inspired by God through the Holy Spirit. And obviously it's written down man, but like it's, if you understand the Holy Spirit works through prophets by telling them what to write, and they write it down, and the canonization process is probably the same way.
Yeah.
So
Well, and yeah, and
that's like
that's super interesting. And by the way, the fact that you're interested in this stuff, I love this. I love the Bible. I love Bible studies. And can I bring up a couple of passages though and ask your question? Because these are some of the things that troubled me.
sure.
I was like, I don't understand. So these are New Testament passages. We're not going to get into the weird like Old Testament slavery stuff. We're gonna keep it
Keep it
easy.
new.
Keep it fresh here.
NT.
Keep it in
There you
tea.
go.
Oh darn it! Hold on, that's the wrong. Let me
Oh,
share my
sorry.
other
This-
screen.
This creature is really begging for attention.
Stop screen. Oh yeah, it's good. We need a quick distraction while I share.
Here's
my
a quick
other screen.
distraction. Say hi to Gracie.
There's
Gracie, how you
Gracie.
doing?
She's nice. She's getting up there in age, but she's really kind. She's a kind dog.
Yeah, I can't even hear.
she's
Yeah.
she's pretty peaceful. So okay, so this is Matthew 27, and we can read more or less in context, but it's pretty simple. And this is more of those things where it's like, I don't want to put you on the spot, so it's like, if you don't have a direct answer, take these offline and please come back, because we'd love to talk about it more, or talk about something completely different. But this is regarding the death of Judas. Okay, so Judas, we could agree, is like the main villain in like the Jesus narrative. Now, obviously, Satan is like, the
Yeah,
Judas is Darth Vader, Satan is the Emperor, probably.
absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
Okay.
I believe the scripture says
Okay.
that it would be better
Okay,
if
yeah.
he would not have been born or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So he's a big bad guy, and his death should be, if I'm not mistaken, like a pretty big plot point. Like,
Mhm.
villain dies, plot point. Batman kills Joker. We've got ourselves a story. Okay, Matthew 27. It says, when Judas, his betrayer, Jesus's betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. He said, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what is that to us? See to it yourself. The priests threw down the pieces of, wait, actually, sorry. It just says throwing down the pieces of silver. So we don't know. I assume that might mean Judas, but I'm not going to put words in
Yeah,
the
because
Bible.
it says he went and hanged himself.
Yeah. Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed. So that must be he threw down the pieces of silver, and he went and he hanged himself. So pretty simple narrative here. Judas is feeling bad. He's like, dude, take your money. And they're like, no. And then he's like, throws down the money, goes, and he hangs himself. Pretty straightforward.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this is Matthew, for anyone taking notes, Matthew 27, 3 through 5. So then we go down to, I want to say Acts. Yeah, Acts. It's 1, 18, and 19. And it says, actually, let me go. I got to do more than 18 through 19. Sorry. Acts, what is that? 1. Oh, shoot. That's right, because Luke picks right up. That's right. Good old Luke. Okay, here we go. 21. Okay, let's try that again. Okie doke. Brothers and sisters, the scripture had to be fulfilled, which the Holy Spirit through David foretold concerning Judas, who became a guide for those who arrested Jesus, for he was numbered among us, and he was allotted his share in this ministry. Now, this man, Judas, now we have the context that talking about Judas, he acquired a field with the reward of his wickedness. So
he didn't give the money back.
So yeah, what is your thoughts on? Would you assume like I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? I don't want to like put words in your mouth, but this means that Judas didn't just throw down the money and run. He like bought a field with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah, keep going because he also doesn't.
And then it says, and falling headlong, he burst open in the middle of the field, and all of his bowels gushed out.
Whew.
So you can't, in the middle of the field, your bowels gushed out versus like you clearly got hit. So in one instance, he's like throwing down the money, no, and he hangs himself. The next instance, he buys a field, and then he's in the field and he falls headlong and his guts burst out.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is there's another issue with this actually. This became known to all the residents of Jerusalem, so that the field was called in their language Hekeldama, that is the field of blood, for it is written in Psalms, let his house become desolate, and there be no one to live in it, and let another take his possession of overseer. Actually what's interesting is there's another issue here because the field of blood, there's a whole thing about the field of blood too. It's like
I can probably address the first point
about like the hanging versus let's go there first.
Or
like,
the money
hanging versus the bursting guts.
So if you go, can you go to verse 17, please? Can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah,
of
absolutely. This one here.
Yes.
There we go. For he was this one, or was it the last one?
Oh, 412. So it said for the number. Let's go to 16. 16.
Oh yeah,
up
cool.
to more.
Here we go, brothers and sisters. This one.
Yes, the scripture had to be fulfilled. So the field. So I don't remember very specifically. Did the Pharisees denied him? Then when he tried to get the money back, they denied him. They threw it back in the ground towards him. I think
say right? It actually says he threw the money down and then he hanged himself. So it says, so when Judas his betrayer saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. He said, I have sinned. They said, what's that to us? See it to yourself. And it says, throwing down the pieces of silver, he departed the temple and hanged himself. So he could have, now I think what you're suggesting, don't let me put words in your mouth, but like, are you suggesting that he threw down the pieces of silver and then he picked them back up, he bought a field, and then he hanged himself, and then he ran out and his guts burst out?
I'm pretty sure they're talking in hyperbole. I want to say they're almost talking about hyperbole when they said acquired field. I almost want to say that. Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed and he went and hanged himself.
Like, where do you get that from?
So it's well, this is the thing about scripture like this. It's like you got to meditate on it to really try to find.
You got to put words that aren't there.
You got to.
I'm not trying to be cheeky, but like I'm reading the words on the page.
No, that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. Well, it's so like I gotta admit the Bible is very well written. But throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed and he went and hanged himself. Well, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's go back to 16. And you're saying there's like are you trying to say that there's a contradiction here, or is like there's like a
there's two different things.
Well, in Matthew, he throws down the silver. Now, to be fair, it says he throws down the silver and then he leaves the temple. Now, we could interject there if we want to harmonize Acts, that he threw down the silver, he picked it up, he bought a field, and then he hanged himself. But then the problem is in Acts, it says he was in the middle of the field and he fell head first, which if you hang yourself, which side of you falls to the ground first, your head or your feet?
That's a good question. Brothers and sisters, the scripture had to be fulfilled, which the Holy Spirit through David foretold concerning Judas, who became a guide for those who arrested Jesus. Sorry, I don't have a Bible with me. I'm
Oh
going
no, you're
strictly off
good.
of
I
the
can scroll
drum.
down. I can
And we
scroll.
can do any
Yeah.
as far
We're
back and
good.
forward as
Yeah.
you want.
Scroll
Sorry,
up just
actually,
a
let me
tad
know if
bit
I'm
more.
going too fast or too slow. So
You're
he
good. Just
fell
a little bit.
headlong. He fell headlong in the field, and in Matthew,
Okay.
he hanged himself.
Acquired a field with the reward of this wickedness. That's interesting.
Yeah, the
Maybe
pieces of silver.
acquired a field with the reward of his wickedness. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a very
Can
good
I
one.
can I ask you? Can I do another little like brain twister for you? Another one if you're
Sure.
interested. Only if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to say about
Oh,
Judas.
absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So what is this? So like this is the thing. What is God trying to teach us through the story of Judas? Like I know the answer to this. I just want to ask you because it's good to be both of us.
I don't think that God wrote this. I think that people wrote this. Do you want to
Okay.
yeah,
So
I think that what happened was Matthew wrote okay, so Matthew was writing to a Jewish audience in the diaspora. This is a group of Jewish people outside of Jerusalem. So during that time period, there was a lot of Jewish communities in the Roman Empire that had their own little what they called ecclesias or like communities. And
right.
Matthew is writing to those people, and that's why you'll notice that the differences between like Matthew and Paul are very stark. Because Matthew says, like in Matthew 24, for example, not one jot, not one stroke of the law will pass away. And Paul's like, no, you don't, it's not about the law, it's about believing in Jesus. Like you get these stark, like contrasting things. James, for example, was of the Jerusalem school. So James, when you read James versus Jesus, or James, or sorry, not James versus Jesus, James versus Paul, it's very much like the law versus not the law. What we
Right.
have here is we have Matthew writing to the Jewish community, and we have Luke writing to the Gentile community. And what's interesting about this to me is that Mark wrote the first gospel. And so if you're jotting this down, definitely source check me on this. But even theological scholars will agree that Mark is the first gospel. And we know this because Matthew and Luke copy the text from Mark. So it's not like, oh, and what's interesting is like Luke will copy this from Mark, Matthew will copy that from Mark. Sometimes they copy the same thing from Mark, and then sometimes they have another source, and sometimes they have different sources. So we can piece it together and know like who got what from whom, but we know that they were written in two different areas at about the same time. So Matthew and Luke are writing at about the same time. We know that Luke wrote both the book of Luke and the book of Acts because he starts off both of the books with the same entrance, which is to my dear Theophilus. We don't know who Theophilus is. It's actually Theophilus is like a Greek term for like God lover or God knower. So it could be just like a hyperbole, or it could be somebody in like the Roman, authority. But Luke's agenda is vastly different than Matthew's agenda. Luke's agenda when he's writing is more about like this concept of like fulfilling other prophecies. It's more about atonement. Matthew's trying to fulfill like Isaiah and the Jewish. That's why Matthew's riddled with Jewish prophecies, like in like the Old Testament, whereas Luke doesn't really address that as much. And it's also why Luke and Matthew are the only two with the birth narrative, and why they contradict each other starkly. Like they can't have happened. They both couldn't have happened. Like you can't both go to Egypt at the same time as like the other things that are in fact it's actually kind of interesting.
Sure.
If you wanted to get into
No,
birth
you can keep
narratives.
it. You can keep it here. Yeah, we can definitely cover that. We can definitely cover that next. So Judas. So there's a funny thing about Judas. There's a lot of things that God's trying to reveal through the story of Judas, which is why he's important to the story. So early on, there was a bag of money that went missing, and we all knew who it was. Jesus knew his heart from that point on that Judas was a thief. And when he has his feet anointed by the lady with the very expensive oil, once again Judas once again comments and says, we could have spent that money on the poor, but like Jesus knows what Judas is really trying to say. He's really just trying to have the money for himself instead of giving it to the poor. Like Jesus knew his heart early on. And the reason why those 2 points are important to the story of Judas is God's trying to tell us that there are early warning signs to people like this. That like when you know somebody's got a problem, that it's going to probably someday affect you also. And at the end of the story, of course, Judas ends up betraying Jesus. And so God's not only trying to teach us to be careful about idolizing gold and money and trying to teach us about valuing objects more than each other. He's also trying to tell us to be careful who you let into your circle.
Interesting.
Because in the end of the story, Judas ends up betraying us.
So what you're trying to say is it's not necessarily what it says in terms of the story or the plot. It's more, what can I get out of it that I can apply to my life?
Exactly. Well, there's so much hidden in it. It's hard for me to ignore when you read the Bible, but there's obvious symbology throughout the whole book. There, when you see numbers pop up very often, whether it be 3 or 10 or 12 or 40 or 33, or it's his signature. There's a signature in the Bible. Like when you see these numbers.
What is the reason? Okay, so like, and actually we do have Angel up in the box. So Sterling, we want to continue the conversation. We definitely will give you the last word here, but I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. What is it about the hidden spiritual meaning that's deep, that defies all plot lines about the Bible that makes sense versus like the Kabbalah, Jewish mysteries, or the Gnostic texts, or the Quran, or any sort of mystery religions? Because when you read a book and you're like, none of this actually makes sense, and when we have the historical sources, it actually doesn't like line up. Like, but if I read it and I want something to be true, and not even want it to be true, but like I meditate on it, back in the Greek days, you do some drugs on it, and and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's the truth. It's like, and everyone gets different truths, right? There's Catholics, there's there's Pentecostals, there's Eastern Orthodox, and so whose truth's real, and does it really even matter if the plot line doesn't even make sense?
Yeah, well, it's all something that's hidden underneath the text, and
so how do you get that information, and I don't get that information?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Well, that's very good. Like when some people read one thing and it's revealed to them, it's our brain. Like I don't know, like it's just I've studied it and read it so much that it just shoots out at me. And
I mean, I've studied it a few times too.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was just a good revelation.
Do you think that people do you think that people get to choose whether or not they're Christians, or do you think that like God makes them smart enough to be Christians, or like, do you think, like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I love that question. That's a deep question, man. Like I have a very, very sophisticated theory, which is like a whole different thing. But like, I usually start this question off by asking you, do you believe in being reborn again? I know the Bible doesn't tell us that, but do you believe in being reborn again?
I do not. I believe in naturalism. I think that once we're dead, it's lights out.
No, man, we're definitely going to be reborn again. I'm telling you.
How? You know that. And I don't take a trust me bro on eternal life.
I can reveal it to man. How much time do you got? So let me tell you something. Like, how old is the galaxy, or how old is space in general? Like when the Big Bang happened.
13.7 billion years is all we can see. Yeah. I mean, but the universe could be eternal. I mean, we if it's a Big Bang, great big crunch model, then I mean it could be infinity old.
Yeah. Well, I just think that there's a life cycle going on right now, and that we're just being recycled out. But it's all right. That's a little bit different than what we're talking about right now.
That's a lot like Hinduism. So Hinduism believes that we're in the fourth cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think that in the immediate time frame, like we compost, we like recycle, we reuse the things in our life. But as far as like my personal life, I don't know. My mom believes she was on the Titanic.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
think that's a cool idea. I don't think that that can be proven
Oh, okay.
or disproven, to be quite honest. I don't know that I've been convinced that reincarnation is a thing.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll cover that another time. But to finish
Yeah.
the last
Yeah,
question you
we'll
asked
give you the
me,
last word. Yeah, for
um,
sure.
the Matthew one, I think that he's just giving us some quick details and short passage. You know, like it's kind of gross. I would like to not say it, but like you know, he says he bought a field with his wickedness, or his reward of his wickedness. So I'm not sure. Maybe he did pick up the money and run and buy a field, and maybe he jumped head first when he did that one thing to himself. And maybe the birds nipped at, or maybe his insides just gushed open or something
You
for
know what my
whatever
favorite
reason
version
there
of that
is.
is?
What's that?
Dracula 2000. If you haven't
Oh,
seen the
that's
movie,
gnarly.
you know what I'm talking about?
I think
So
so. I think
so
so.
yeah, Dracula 2000 is like somebody saves him. I can't remember who, but he becomes Dracula. Like he's the original vampire. I don't know.
There he
That's
is, man.
neither here nor
It
there.
could be true. You guys are wonderful. I'm gonna
You're
let
great.
you said Angel was here.
Yeah,
Angel,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
gonna bring up Angel,
first of
but
all,
come
thank you for
back.
coming in.
Yeah,
We'd
come
love
back.
to have you back. We'd love to have you
Mhm.
subscribe and come back if that interests you. I think that we've just scratched the surface. I
Mm-hmm.
always think that when we have a conversation with someone who's kind and calm and thoughtful, that I think we could do this for hours, but unfortunately, like
Yeah, we got to give
we
people
only
a
have so
shot.
much
Yeah.
time
there you
on
go. Well,
a work
good.
night. But let's do it again. Let's pick it up here and let's go even deeper. If you ever happen to fall upon us, we'd love that.
God bless you both. I will for sure be hanging around. My name is Sterling in the chat, and I'll be rooting for you
Thank
guys.
you.
So
Yeah.
Awesome.
God bless
Thank you,
you.
Sterling. We appreciate you, man. Cool. Right on. That was great. I really like Sterling. And
Yeah.
dude,
Jackson,
wait
Sterling.
for Sterling to pivot. He thought he was coming into a Christian talk, and then we like pulled the rug out. Like we didn't mean to do that, Sterling. But you were a champion because he didn't bat an eye.
No.
He was just
It
like,
was great.
oh, okay, cool. Well, okay, well then let's just talk about this then. Yeah. And I was like, dude, yeah, that was awesome. Cool. All right. Well, let's pull Angel on up here. Bam. Angel, can you hear us and are you over 18?
Hi, yes, I can hear you, and I'm 26 years old. I'm over 18
Awesome.
years old.
Thank you for
Awesome.
waiting.
Yeah, thanks for waiting, Angel. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on. I think we are meeting for the first time, so I should tell you some background
I would love that.
information. Yeah. So, I have an associate's degree. In terms of my work, I work as a certified nursing assistant.
Thank you for
CNA.
doing that.
Thank you. And then, in terms of my beliefs, my family was Christian. Both my dad and my mom were Christian. And when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old, I take the bus to the church. And then when I go to Sunday school for little kids, I think, hey, this sounds like fairy tales. I don't really believe this. And then I tell my mom this, which was naive.
Probably
Not the right
probably
move.
a little rocky.
Yeah. So I tell my mom, like, hey, mom, have you ever thought, it sounds a little bit outlandish. And she says, don't ever say that ever again.
Yeah. I can relate.
I hear a little bit about you, like you're Christians first and then you turn atheist.
Mhm.
And I relate to your story, but backwards, because I felt like I'm atheist first, as a little kid. And then, so I turned atheist when I'm about 6 years old. And then I realized, like, as I turned an adult recently, 26, I started going to Catholic Church and everything. And then I realized, like, okay, maybe I should become Christian. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm atheist turned Christian.
So how long have you been Christian?
So I've always battled with faith, but I think the last 6 months, so it's recent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate your honesty there. It is a challenge, right? Because even when I was full blown Christian, I mean, I went through times when I like believed 100%, and then I went through times where my faith was challenged. So I get that, and it is a. I mean, the reason why they call it faith, for at least for my experience, is because you can believe it, it comes naturally, but then there's times where it's challenged and you have to push through, kind of in a way. At least for me, that was my experience. Did you go through that at all?
Believing despite being challenged?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Yeah. So what brought you back then? What was the thing that kind of brought you back into?
Yeah, I'm always curious about
and
that.
I say back in, but you were obviously atheist for a while. So like from what brought you to Christianity then, I should say, like 6 months ago or so.
Yeah. So I also wanted to ask the same question for you because we're meeting for the first time. Now, what brought me back to it is, my beliefs are a tricky thing because our beliefs are reinforced by our peers, by our family, by our culture.
Of course.
So
it's partly how they're formed.
Yeah, and when you have a strong belief, like religion is typically a strong belief, and if you disagree with someone's religion, that can cause conflict, and so
it can be very sensitive.
Yeah. So of course, So when I was a teenager, I lived in a Christian household, and I didn't believe in the religion, so conflict. And then I run away as a teenager because of the conflict.
Oh wow! How was that?
It was alone. I was alone. I was alone for all of my adult life. So I don't have family. I'm isolated. But then I find my own peer group. I go find people who are similar thinking. But also, it's important to note that I live on the west coast of the United States, and I travel all the way to the east coast because I find an online group on the east coast that thinks similar to me. So I travel, I think, 3,000 miles just to find a group that thinks similar to me. Now, this is important. This is really important because I'm born on the cusp of 21st century. So now we have 100 years of cars. We have 20 years of home internet. Yeah. And then we have radio and we have TV. These things are like brand new. They all came out in the 20th century. So these things would not have existed, or they definitely did not exist, in my grandparents' age or my great-grandparents' age.
Right.
And now that's important to mention because of my family, right? So my family have their parents and their parents and their parents. And the Bible actually goes back since the birth of Christ or the death of Christ, which again is, I think I did the math. I think it was about 80 generations. So that's 80 parents having kids. So
I don't know that it's quite 80 though, right? 80? Because we're going back 2,000 years.
I think I did the math.
It might be because they overlap, I guess. I see what you're saying. Maybe. My math isn't so good. So Alexa, if somebody has generations and has a kid every 25 years, how many generations is it for 2,000 years?
80 generations.
She's thinking about it. Sorry.
She said 80.
Oh, 80. That was how many? Okay.
She said 80 generations.
Anyways, it's a lot of generations, to your point.
Yes. So, I'm one person. So that's, 80 minus 1 is 79. So that's 79 more versions of me, and if the scientific perspective is correct. Like, I'm half of my dad. My dad is half of his grandpa. He's 50% of the genes, right? So if I'm nothing but the molecular structure of my genes, then that's 80 versions of me.
Right, 80 iterations.
Yeah, and a large amount of those people were Christian or religious. And also, it's important to note, they all had kids and they all survived. So they lived long enough to have kids. And here I am, I exist. Now, do I want to die? No. Now, if I don't want to die, then it's also reasonable to assume that all of my grandparents, shouldn't have died. Because if they died, then I would not have existed. So, therefore, it sort of presumes that, therefore, you should continue to live because you shouldn't die. At least I don't want to die. Maybe some other people disagree and they want to die, and that's their choice.
Yeah, I think most people don't, though. Like, even, like, just like by nature of life, right? Like, it was really interesting because we referenced earlier the conversation I had with my mom on Memorial Day, and she said, well, humans have a divine spark because they don't want to die. And I was like, dude, if you put a pillow over the face of a cat, it also doesn't want to die. So animals, kind of things with life, don't want to die. But continue, like you're saying, like, yeah, to your point, your grandparents didn't want to die. You don't want to die. You want to carry it on. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm basically, like, I want to cut it short because I do have a family emergency, and I wish I can share this document.
If you need to go, you can go and come back. We're good.
Okay. So I want to share this document. It's just brainstorming what I wanted to talk about. I maybe I shouldn't, but okay. I just want to say that there's some. I'm hand waving at some evolutionary pressures that the Bible comes with, and it would be unwise to go against the Bible, even though it's not empirically verified against the observable universe. Maybe it's not true in that scientific sense, but maybe it's true in the 80 generation sense. It's successful over time, beyond your comprehension, kind of thing. Because we're stuck observing things in the moment. We can't observe 80 generations worth of life experience. So I think it is like Satan. Satan was very intellectual. He was very competent, and then he goes against God, and there's a fall of Satan. In the background, your hell image. So, yeah, I don't mean to insult you.
No. Which we only get from the Book of Enoch, by the way, which is not canonical. To be fair.
I see. Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing.
That was the fall part. The devil in Hades thing. We can draw that from Revelations as well. But anyways.
Okay, so I do have to go. I'm so sorry. I do have to go.
No. You go. You take care of your family. We're gonna be here. Come back if you can, and subscribe so you can come back later.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Well,
shoot,
that was nice that Angel waited.
Yeah, I feel bad. I hope that there's not like a bad family emergency thing. I mean, family emergencies typically aren't good. It's not like, hey guys, we've got like a good situation.
A good emergency.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
So.
Well, sheesh, the box is open.
That kind of went places. So I just want to say on air, Lars, I read your comment. I totally respect that. But if you would still email us, we would still love to communicate with you apart from just in the chat. I feel like we have so much more to talk about with you. I know it's been a while since we talked about doing a special stream for you, and we never got that email.
Yeah, and our email is
inquirycouple@gmail.com. Please, I love that you keep coming in the chat regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would love to talk to you.
It's just a little. Too. I think Lars, the thing is, it's just a little off the topic.
Sometimes I can read it and sometimes I can't.
Yeah, it's just a little off topic.
Oh no, Lars said that he decided to stay a spectator.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
And appreciates our offer, but he's
either way,
which is fine.
Lars is great. Yeah, we love Lars.
We still love to have the conversation.
Yeah, and Lars, the last time you were in the box, you were like a few people back, and we didn't even get to the people ahead of you, so we apologize for that. But at the same time, we were waiting for an email because we think that we need to set up kind of more of a special call.
Right. But even if you don't want to do that, we could still chat via email so that we have more chat than just when we're on here, because we can't always. Sometimes we can read them, sometimes we can't. It depends on how many callers we have and how much interaction we have. But I always try to keep an eye out for you.
Also, we're good friends with Justin. I say good friends like I'm a real big fanboy of Justin at Deconstruction Zone, and
we're pretty good friends.
He has a like a Q&A going on tonight, and so like we actually also are thinking about doing like a Q&A for folks that like might be like, I'm not like necessarily a Christian, or I've deconstructed, or I'm deconstructing, and I don't, and just kind of people being able to tell their stories. If that's something that interests you, and you can put it in the chat if you're like, hey, I'd come up and talk and share my story, because it's crazy.
Lars said he was called back to full duty as of May 2nd.
Oh, wow.
I hope you're in a safe place.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Appreciate everything that you do and have done, Lars.
Dang.
You have a crazy story.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah. But if anyone wants to do a thing like that where we do
done for a long time, we didn't get.
Oh, right on. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
We can go ahead and call it. We're out of guests for the night. This was a really nice, I thought, really great conversation. We'll be back, I don't know, early next week probably.
Yeah.
But subscribe, hit the notification button, and we always schedule it out a couple hours ahead so that, our lives are crazy. We have 2 kids. We have a D&D nerd that has to play games all the time. There's things going on. Yeah, someone over here. But we'll always be back. Great callers. I agree, Dusk. Thank you, everyone who's here.
Tonight.
Thank you for our callers. Please come back. Angel, I'm wishing you the best. I hope everything's okay. And we'll see you all guys next week, hopefully.
See y'all next week. Thanks, y'all.